This is the RPM Podcast, starring Eric Brennan.
I ate so many hot dogs I can't remember where I've eaten them.
Sam Ballard Jr.
You can bump me some places, but there are some places you can't do that.
Nick Rendo.
It worked as long as they were going in a straight line.
As long as you're going straight, yeah. But
Scott Riggleman.
He definitely wiggled quite a bit
it got loose, and away it went.
Tim Riggleman.
Bars will be closing here in a little bit. You guy won't even be able to make last call.
And Josh Matthews.
I think that left front corner, that nose looks pretty heavily damaged.
Well, look at
And here we are again, the RPM Podcast, episode 122. We're filming a day late again this week. It's Wednesday at 9:19 p.m. We're recording this. Trying something new tonight. We're not sure if it's going to work or not. My brother was a little chinsy on buying good equipment, so we'll see how this works out. But so far, so good. We got Josh Matthews with his cousin Bruce, who is a go-kart champion in South Jersey. He claims we haven't seen any proof of that yet, but that's what he's saying. They're down at their Matthews family studios down there in Waretown, New Jersey. Something new. We're going to go with the Tim and Twin studio up in Little Silver, New Jersey. You know, Sam always brags he can spit on Alan Kowicki's shop from his dorm. Tim can actually spit on John Bon Jovi's house from his house. You know, he's only right across the river. Tim lives up there with pretty good neighbors up there. He lives right off the Navasink River.
Wow.
So the Twins are going to join us with Tim, and the Tizzy's sent with them. Oh, we just lost a twin. We just lost Bailey. She'll come back on in a little bit. And I'm Scott down here, Scott Riggleman down here at the Edge of Divorce Studios.
Everybody knows who you are.
Yeah, well, I still got to introduce myself.
Mr. in the
AARN. You got much else to talk about tonight, so I might as well introduce myself.
Well, you were in the AARN, weren't you?
Yeah, that was a big article.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. The 1 week my paper doesn't come on time is this week. I went out to get the paper to see your article, and it's not in the mailbox.
Oh, really?
Let's see here. What page was it on, Scott?
I think as soon as you open it up, like one or two articles in.
Read it.
Yeah. I'm getting there.
I tell you what, it's not the best written article. It's funny when they interview you, and then you read the article. It's like, man, that's not what I said. You know what I'm saying?
Fake news, right?
Yeah.
Where is it?
I think you passed it already, Josh. I think it was towards the front of the paper.
Yeah, you like to think that. Several twists to 2019 Super Dirt Series schedule. Nope, not there. People are just enjoying listening.
I was surprised. It was like a special article, like with the special outline, you know, so it stood out, you know. I mean, Josh can't find it, but it was right there.
I mean, you're also talking about when's the last time I read a freaking newspaper? I'm one of those.
I tell you what, the aerial racing news, that's like the sole survivor of newspapers for the racing. I mean, there used to be a Gator News, there used to be Speed Sport News, there was Speedway Scene, there was Winston Cup Scene, which was a great paper. I love the Winston Cup Scene, and they're all gone. The aerial racing news is the only one left, you know, and they do a pretty good job. The one thing I like reading about that paper, you know what they really do good with? They do good with like what tracks are opening and what tracks are closing and who's running the track and who's the managers. They do real good with that. Josh, you sure you have this week's paper?
You might be right on that.
There was a drawing of a guy who won the most modified feature wins this year on the front cover. If you don't have that paper, you got the wrong one. You got the wrong paper.
Yeah.
They do.
Sorry.
They do put dates on those.
Yeah,
they probably do.
All right, we're going to start off with NASCAR. I mean, I vetoed one thing Josh put in there. We don't need to talk about that, but I don't know where he was going with that one. But I'm not even mentioning what he wanted to talk about.
You don't want to know. I'm a bad person.
I mean, there was a couple announcements this week in NASCAR. One was Jamie McMurray announced today that he's not going to drive next year, that he's moving over to the TV side of things. That seems to be the route for these guys.
Is that where Kurt Busch is going to go? Suarez.
I still, Suarez is still going that at 41 car. I'm pretty sure that's a done deal. I don't know what the holdup is and why they haven't announced that yet, but I think that's pretty much a done deal. Jamie McMurray announced today that he's moving over to the TV side of things. He's going to go. He's not going to be a commentator. No, he's not going in the booth or anything like that. He's actually going to be the host of Race Hub, which is a cool show. You know, he was on there quite a bit last year, so I guess that was kind of like an audition for him. You might want to say, and then he got the gig, and he's going to be the host of Race Hub next year, which is a pretty cool show. And I'm you know, it's cool to see him doing that. I mean, I'd still like to see him race, though. You know, I'm sure there's an option in his contract if a ride comes available, he can still race. I mean, he still finishes good. He doesn't crash cars. He's a good, solid race car driver. I hope he still races every once in a while, but a lot of times these guys move over to the TV side of things, and he's the next one to do it.
There's probably a lot less pressure on him as far as performance. Is he ousting anyone at Race Hub?
Not that I know of. I really don't know. They always have people in and out of there. I mean, Casey Mears was doing it for a while. Blake Cook, when he didn't have a ride, he was over there doing it. A lot of people land over there. It's always like a rotating thing, but I guess for Jamie, it's going to be more full time now. Right. I'm not sure. They didn't say that he was replacing somebody. I know Bobby Labonte pops in there sometimes, and Jeff Burton, you know.
Oh, what does he know?
Another cool thing, I listen to NASCAR radio all day, and
yeah, you do.
And another cool thing, you know, they're talking about how they can spice up NASCAR next year, and you know, of course, people have stupid things, you know, add jumps to the racetracks and stuff like that, you know. But Larry Mack was talking about, why not let's go back to racing to the checker flag or back to the line when the caution comes out. Remember they used to do that, and they stopped it for safety.
Okay.
Would that be something you'd like to see again? Like when the yellow comes out, you know, they got to race back to the line?
No, I'll pass. I'll take the safety.
Yeah. Pass. What about to the checker?
Still no.
No?
No. I would go, I'm okay with racing back to the checkered. You know, if it's somebody that spins out behind them and it's clear.
When they let it go, yes. If the car, just like at Wall, if the car's out of the way and you can let them go for another couple laps or whatever, then yeah. But like I think we saw at Daytona earlier this year, they let it go even though cars had hit the wall pretty good, and I was like,
well, yeah.
That's why I was like, I know you're trying to let it go on and finish because it was behind the pack of cars, but those guys could still be hurt, and sometimes every second matters.
Yeah.
So that's where I was like, yeah, no.
I agree with that.
So if Tim's being summoned, it looks like, but yeah, I'll keep it the way it is. I think that the chase has worked out. I think it's better just to stay on the safer side because, I mean, would it make headlines if a driver was killed? Sure, but do we really want that?
Another thing they're saying is like they're not against racetracks having two race dates, but now they want the second date to be a little bit different than the first date. You know,
the cars will be making right turns.
Well, just change it up a little bit. Like a couple of the ideas they gave was, you know, Charlotte already did the Roval thing where they race on the oval their first date, and the second date they race on the oval, the Roval. You know, it could be something as simple as Pocono adding lights. You know, the first race on their schedule they race in the day, and then the next one they make it a night race. It could be.
I'm not against a night race at Pocono. I think that would be pretty cool. But who would be paying for the lights? That is my question.
You know what though? I think all racetracks should have lights, even if they have a date. I really do, and this is why, because to get the racing, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they can have a rain delay. You know, it's bad when they have a rain delay, and now they're up again. You know, it takes a while to dry the track off, and now they can't get the racing.
To be fair, when I went to the IndyCar race at Pocono this year, it because of that red flag from Wickens. Nearly killing himself. We were pushing up to dusk there, and they still got it in. But there was concern that like if it went much longer under red, they were going to have to shorten the race by time. That's
what I mean. That's why I think every track should have lights, even if they don't have a night race, only to get the races in. Now, you know what I'm saying?
Now, Scott, can it be any decent lighting system, or do they have to have that Musco or whatever it is?
You have to have good lighting. Those guys are going those speeds on those tracks. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you said every racetrack, so I'm applying that to short tracks as well. That may not.
What do you mean on the NASCAR circuit?
Well, no, just did you mean all NASCAR tracks or just?
Yeah, just NASCAR tracks should have lighting. For that reason, just to get the races in. Even on a Sunday, you could be at Dover on Sunday. It can rain till 2-3 o'clock, and then say if they got to draw the track off now, it's 4 o'clock. They can still get all the 400 miles in or the 500 miles in if they have lights. You know what I'm saying?
I would like to see if a track does have a road course like Charlotte or Daytona or whatever. If it's raining that bad that they have the option to switch to rain tires and run the road course.
No.
Throw that at the teams. That'll level the field a bit.
Yeah, that's too much of a change, But one guy did call up and they said, because people are like, oh well, Daytona's got to do something to make the two races different. They are kind of different in a way because one's 500 miles, one's 400 miles. It could be something as simple as just a different length.
Yeah, and you have so much leading up with like the clash and the duels and all that stuff for the 500.
Well, and another thing is the 500's during the day and the 400's at night. That makes it different, and they're saying all tracks should do something a little different like that. And I kind of agree, mix it up a little bit, I'd love to see a Pocono race under the lights. That'd be pretty cool,
I probably enjoy it, especially in the summer. If you go to one of those blistering dates where you're just going to bake in the sun, like Dover, I would love Dover under the lights.
I heard they were putting lights in at Dover. Like I heard like the anchor, like the concrete anchors where they mount the lights are already in place. I think Dale Jr. showed that one time on Instagram or something.
Maybe, but I think those might just be what's left from the original bases of the grandstands that they've been tearing down.
Yeah. That could have been possible. Yeah, it could have been where they mounted the loudspeakers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's one thing to think about.
At the go-karts, South Jersey, I am the champion, by the way.
Yeah.
they're incredible lights. I got to attest to that. So
where's that at?
Wildwood, South Jersey, anywhere down there, they had the best
He's
lighting.
talking about the boardwalk.
Yeah, that's the lights coming off the roller coaster next to the go-kart track you're the champion at. That's the light shining out of the fun house next door to your racetrack there.
Well,
but I won my first championship with those lights at night. It was like 11:30 at night. I rocked it, man.
Yeah, but you only won the championship because the kid that was racing against you ran out of tickets and he could keep riding. So,
and the next one in line wasn't tall enough.
Don't advertise.
Yeah. What were you saying, Tim?
Josh mentioned, short track racing and Musco lighting. There's a lot of short tracks that have Musco lighting. I believe
big difference too, isn't there?
I believe New Egypt Speedway's got.
Yeah.
Who was it? New Egypt or Bridgeport that just posted? Or no, that was. Oh dear, what track was it just posted like a day or so ago?
I think New Egypt does have Musco lighting. They have great lights,
All
stadiums lacking in the light department. They've made a lot of improvements over there, but the lights aren't that great.
Yes, you're right. For the fans, definitely I agree. For driving, haven't had a problem.
But Josh, you haven't really raced any other tracks at night, So you have
Bridgeport.
You don't have really. Yeah, that's true. But you don't really have much to. Bridgeport's a little dark too. But I've raced at racetracks where it's like daylight out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where Wall is pretty good, but it does have some dark spots.
There are a few. I think coming off of 4. Is one, and then there's in one of the turns. There's a few dark spots, but well, at least in our division when we're going so slow,
Yeah,
it's not so bad.
We can hold our own flashlight up and look, Another thing with NASCAR we've been talking about a little bit too is, everybody's worried about where the next race car drivers are coming from. We got tons of them coming up through the ranks.
The problem is funding, right?
Well, the problem is funding, but there's still plenty of talent coming up through the ranks. The problem is where the next car owners are going to come from. All the car owners are starting to get up there in age. Rick Hendrick's getting older. Roger Penske's older now. Jack Roush is older now. Even Chip Ganassi's older. We have Richard Childress is even older now, but we don't have many young car owners, and that kind of worried me a little bit. I'm like, where's the next group of car owners going to come from? And one announcement.
I was saying, Kyle Busch had owned trucks, right? And
right.
And was there an Xfinity team under Kyle Busch or KBM?
There might have been, but I'm talking about like where the next Cup teams are coming from.
But I'm saying, I mean, he might be, when the time comes for him to step down from driving, maybe he could switch to that role.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I think that's going to happen at Junior Motorsports sooner or later too. I think sooner or later they're finally going to have to put a Cup team on the track.
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably have like a 5-year plan or something like that for that. I think Dale Jr. and his sister Kelly would be great Cup owners, and that would definitely help. But the big announcement I'm trying to get to is Rick Hendrick announced today that in the future, he said not in the near future, but in the future, that Jeff Gordon is definitely going to own 100% of Hendrick Motorsports and take over Hendrick Motorsports when he's ready to step down. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is, but I mean, to me, it seems a little weird. Only in that, like, he was a great driver. He's a good personality to have in the booth and as a commentator and all that. And I'm sure he has great relationships with them. But what otherwise qualified him to be a team owner? I mean, it was. I just, how did that come about? I mean, that you're handing the keys of a. Let's just call it $1 billion business.
Because he's already half owner of the 48 team. I mean, he's been half owner of the 48 team since it started, so he has experience there. He's been involved in Hendrick Motorsports nearly all his life, so he's got to know how it runs and everything. I think he's a great choice to take over the business when the time comes.
I'm not saying he'd do a bad job. It's just I don't know. I don't know who I would have expected, but I was a little surprised. Like, wow, only because I don't want it to be one of those things where you could see somebody would, let's say it was a son, like whether it be a relative, like, oh, I have to, hand the business down within the family, or hey, this guy gave us so much, so we feel obligated to hand this over to him. When you need to do it as a business decision.
I mean, I'm sure Rick Hendrick, feels the success of Hendrick, and the reason Hendrick is as big as it is today is because of Jeff Gordon's success on the racetrack. I think Gordon's a perfect fit for it, and I think it's a great choice.
So that said, do you see more drivers becoming team owners in the future?
Well, I mean, we already have seen Tony Stewart do it,
right?
But
where did that? What did that yield ultimately?
What do you mean?
I mean, Hendrick. You look at the history or the list of between championships, wins, and all that. How much did Tony Stewart have to stack up against that?
Well, I mean, Tony Stewart turned that whole team around. That team didn't even win a race before Tony Stewart got half ownership, and now they're battling for championships and won a few championships. Right. I mean, he's really made that a great race team, and I think Jeff Gordon could do the same thing at Hendrick and keep it going.
Okay.
Well, you got to remember too that Richard Childress was a race car driver before he was a car owner.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I mean.
You can go around down the line. Jack Roush raced. I mean, Roger Penske raced. They all raced before they became car. Just, Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart were much more successful in their racing career before they took over ownership roles.
Fair enough. I think it's personally going to come from mostly drivers, but there could be.
You're right. I think you're right about Kyle Busch. I think Kyle Busch would be a great Cup owner. I mean, he's already proven how great he's run the truck teams and stuff like that. And he could very well become a Cup owner, I think you're all right. I think some of the owners are going to come from ex-drivers and retired drivers that want to move up to the ownership roles.
Now, what are the chances of another Furniture Row kind of thing happening, where a guy essentially comes out of nowhere and then
just a straight-up businessman that wants to go racing?
Yeah.
That's possible.
It comes and goes.
So,
comes and goes.
Yeah, but I mean that was I don't know if you call it a fairy tale story the way that worked, but he came from, all right, hey, I have a furniture store. Now I want to be involved in NASCAR on the top level.
My favorite car owner that came out of nowhere, did it, and then faded away was J.D. Stacy. He came out and he sponsored like 7 cars at one time. Remember that, Scott?
Yeah, I remember his name on like a million cars, and then he just as soon as he came in, he left. It was that quick, you know. But no, the Furniture Road people, they did a great job. I mean, he started small, and he built, got big, won the championship. Now he's out, you know.
Yeah. Well, now, do you think if the Alliance price hadn't changed, he'd still be doing it?
You know what? That's a tough question. I think mainly the reason why he stopped doing it was number one, the escalating cost. I mean, they pretty much tripled the cost on him through Gibbs, and he had a bad heart attack. You know what I'm saying? I think it's more like the doctor said. You got to start slowing down. You know, stop being so stressed out over stuff and get rid of the race team, or you're going to have another heart attack. I think him having the heart attack was the final reason why he decided to get out. If he was in better health and he didn't have heart problems, he might have worked, dug deeper and found more money to keep going and pay the higher price at Gibbs. But who knows? It might have been fine. And he says it's strictly financial. He said he couldn't keep taking money from his other businesses to keep the race team going.
I'm surprised that I know that everybody looks at like the purse and the winnings and like, wow, that's a lot of money, but they forget about how much is invested between R&D and teams and getting the crews out there and renting pit guns and all that other BS.
Yeah, it adds up.
But at the same time, I'm surprised that with their performance and we talked last week about what the charter's worth and how that influences the payouts. That they weren't bringing in enough that he wouldn't have to take from the other businesses.
Yeah. Well,
other than his time and attention.
They said Gibbs' lease program went up 300%, so it tripled. So whatever he was paying the year he won the championship and last year was going to be triple next year. He just couldn't justify spending that much money, so he got out. And plus he didn't want to go somewhere else because he was getting top-notch stuff from Gibbs. And once you run good and win races and championships, you're not going to go back.
Yeah, you don't want to go down and get stuff from Starcom.
Yeah, right.
Well, the conspiracy theory people say that Gibbs wanted Truex in the 19, so they charged Furniture Row more so he would quit, so they could just hire Martin outright.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Forced to say no, it's possible, but then they did the "I'm taking my ball and going home" thing, which I completely agree with in this case. Other than how it affected the employees, which sucks. But I know that a lot of them were going to go into Gibbs, and a few were going to be kept in the Furniture Row factories, and so he was taking care of them as best he could. But all these people that moved out west are going to now move to North Carolina. So that it's a little bit tough. I mean, you figure they're traveling.
Yeah, but that can happen at any job. You know what I'm saying?
It could, but that's really the biggest downside for me is how it affects the employees. But other than that, if they're gonna screw you over like that, then yeah, absolutely, take your ball and go home. I'm fine with it because they did nothing wrong. They they got their alliance thing, they paid for it, and then they just did better with it. They outperformed everybody. That's what it came down to. And then what was it? Was it runner up this year in the championship, or was he third? So
he was beating the Gibbs team with Gibbs' own cars. Yeah. And I always thought that was weird, but Jimmy Johnson had a good theory about that, and I thought it was pretty smart because when Stewart was running Chevys, they were getting their cars from Hendrick, and they were beating Hendrick with their cars. And people are, I looked at it as, Hendrick's got the best stuff. They give Stewart the second best stuff. So you can say Gibbs has the best stuff and they give the 78 team the other stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But Jimmy Johnson had a different way of looking at it. No, we're giving them the equal equipment. Plus they're seeing it with new eyes and making it even better, and it came to be true because that's exactly what the 78 team was doing. They were getting exactly what Gibbs had. And then they were looking at it with a fresh outlook and new eyes and new people, and they were making it a touch better, Wow. So,
yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, that's the way Jimmy Johnson explained it. I said, that's pretty, he's right on about that. I never looked at it that way,
That's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind seeing stuff like that happen again, especially if it gives, some other drivers, who some more attention, that deserve it. I mean, Truex, we saw him go through. I mean, we call it Truex luck for a reason. I mean, he had how many almost wins and was always there, and then got screwed over by the dumbest things time after time.
I think he's going to do great this year at Gibbs because he's bringing Cole Pern with him as crew chief. So I think they're going to be real tough, working right at Gibbs and having everything at their fingertips that Gibbs has technology-wise. I think they're going to even be better now than they were out west in Colorado with the Furniture Row team. I really think he's going to be the guy to beat this year.
It's quite possible. Do you think there's going to be any internal conflicts, between him and like Kyle or something like that?
Yeah, there might be. I mean, him and Kyle might go head to head a little bit because Kyle wants to be the top guy there. But then again, Coach Gibbs is real good at working with people like that from his football days, and he seems to keep everybody in line over there. So I think they'll be able to handle that no problem.
Well, I think back to was it the Brickyard 400 when they were doing, they had a system, Truex and Bush to, okay, we're gonna go, we'll drop in behind you, and and it was working. And they were like, no, we're gonna go for it, and then they ended up both wrecking, and then which, I mean, it was a racing deal. They were both going for it, but I hate seeing that happen when you have. I mean, it makes it exciting. Yeah, but I don't want to see that kind of stuff. I don't want to see that inside fighting.
But you just asked, do you think we'll ever see that again? Where like the Furniture Row team had an alliance with a bigger team and they went out there and won. I mean, one team we can keep an eye on this year to see if that can happen again is that new Spire team. They're supposed to have affiliation with the Chevy team. I think it's going to be Hendrick. So we'll see if he can do the same thing that the 78 team did, and we'll keep an eye on that one.
Maybe it's a lucky charter too.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, is the charter a piece of paper? Like, do you actually get a piece of paper?
You know what? If it is, no one's ever showed it. You know what I'm saying? It'd be cool. At least you have something to hang on your wall for the $2 million.
I'm picturing this old time like scroll.
Yeah.
It looks like Willy Wonka's golden ticket. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't go through there.
Oh.
They should have something like a plaque or something you can at least hang in your office.
So Elon Musk asked me to test one of his race cars, the battery operated.
Oh, you want to get into bat? We're going to talk about Formula E a bit later.
Really?
Yeah, because they're getting ready for some stuff coming up. But we're not there yet. That'll be in our open wheel segment.
You know what? I always thought the charters reminds me of. Like when you were in New York City, they had the medallions for the taxi cabs. You have to have the medallion to be a legal taxi. The one they pop rivet right on their hood is like a big medallion. That's what they should do with your charter. You should have it pop riveted right to your fender, your race car.
I like it's funny, but I'd see that being such a terrible idea because not that it would be stolen, but I seen a wreck, it go flying off and injuring somebody. I got hit by a medallion. I don't know. Anyway, so we're gonna. I guess that's about it for NASCAR, right?
Yeah.
For right now, anyway. Tim's falling asleep on us.
No, I'm all right. Well, I thought we were gonna talk about Dale Jr. driving that truck for the pace car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right, Tim. You sent us that. So Dale Jr. is gonna be driving. I'm sorry, Redneck Jesus is gonna be driving his own pickup truck for as the pace truck
for the Daytona 500.
But why?
Because it's Dale Jr. He can do whatever he wants. What's so special about this truck, though? Did they say?
To sell pickup trucks. Yeah, I think what they're doing is they're making like a Dale Earnhardt Jr. edition Chevy pickup.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. Kind of like how Ford had the Harley Davidson edition. Yeah, make a special Dale Jr. edition pickup truck. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't look like the 2019 Silverado grill.
Yeah, with the upside down grill or something everybody's making fun of.
I'm a Chevy guy, and that thing is ugly.
We talked about this on the last show. I'm due to buy a new truck. I got a 2002 pickup truck, and I drive all over the country.
Wait till 2020, Scott.
2004.
Bruce here has a 2004 Dakota. If you want it.
So here I am, my big thing is I take my title with me when I travel out of state, and the truck breaks down. I'm just going to get towed to the local Chevy dealer and trade it in and buy a brand new one. And I said to Nancy, I said, here's my luck. We're going to break down, and I'm going to buy the ugliest truck Chevy ever made because they're hammered. They're getting hammered over this truck. It's all the front grill. And someone corrected it. They took a picture of the Chevy truck, and they redid the grill with the headlights down on the bottom. To make it look normal again. It did look a lot better.
Yeah.
They said it looks like an upside down face where the eyes are on the bottom and the mouth is up top,
Oh, they had that one with that Family Guy character with the
Family Guy character with the upside down face.
And then somebody else was posting like the side view mirrors have like this weird like S squiggle thing going on,
really?
which is like it's just dumb. They're like,
I said, now this is my luck. My truck's going to break down. I got to trade it in. I'm going to get the ugliest truck Chevy ever made. But you know what? I thought the Dodges were ugly when they first came out and the grill was like attached to the hood, but you get used to it after a while. It looks good after a while. It's just the first initial look and you're like, what's that?
I'm sure we'll get used to it, but it's, I still think they could have done something a little different on that, but that's not, I'm not their designer. Although you could have bought a Ford. You were down in Ford country, weren't you, Scott?
Yeah, but I mean, we passed a couple of Dale Earnhardt Chevys. There was plenty of Chevy dealers down there. Every time I pass, I looked because I'm like, we're coming home this way. I'm like, well, they got what we want over there, And one had a beautiful silver dually, crew cab dually. I was like, man, that truck's beautiful.
You're a Chevy guy? I thought you were a Ford. No.
Nah, I've always had Chevys.
No, well, Josh, I'm sorry, but I thought, I didn't know.
Josh always had Chevys too, right, Josh?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a Grand Prix. Actually, my race car is a Grand Prix, but that's neither here nor there. Although my work truck is a Ford, and it gets.
I
really
tell you
good
what, though,
mileage.
I don't put any car manufacturers down since I started a towing business because I learned one thing: they all break down.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it feels like every morning I wake up to a broke down Ford. It seems like that every morning. My first call is a Ford Fusion, a Ford Echo, or a Ford Transit.
And it's not just flat tires, right?
Yeah, it's always something, And
well, I mean, because I know you do tires and stuff too, but
it's
bigger
breakdowns where I gotta tell them. Like I'm starting to know everybody at Downs Ford by their first name. That's how often I go there, But
don't they sponsor the modifieds?
Yeah, no, not anymore.
Okay.
It's I forget who sponsors modifieds now, but you know what? I got the program right here. But
leave it to Scott.
All American Ford sponsors the division now.
Okay.
But I used to think like Chevys were the best and Fords break down and Dodges break down, but now I got this towing business. I'll tell you what, every car breaks down. I've had every single type of car on the bed of my
you've
truck.
towed my truck.
Yeah.
When I blew the transmission on that thing. So it happens. And your truck even broke down like we were just talking about on the way back from Florida.
Yeah.
So but at least you had a win on your back.
Yeah.
On that. So that was.
I have a funny story about towing the other day. It's around 6:00. I get a call, and I wasn't going to take it. And I decided to take it because I was out towing anyway, and I was already cold and whatever. I'll go tow it. Well, it was a Ford van, and the call came in, and they sent me the address, and I pull into the parking lot. It was, they said a Ford van, and it was like purple or something like that. I'm like, how's a Ford van purple? I'm like, whatever. So I pull in, and it was the Optimum TV place. There was 35 purple vans. So I call the place I'm dealing with. I said, there's 35 purple vans in here. They all say Optimum on. Oh, they said it's got an orange ladder on it. I had to take a picture and send it to the girl I was dealing with, the dispatcher. Every single van was purple and had an orange ladder on the roof. So they finally had to give me the license plate number, and then I could identify it by the license plate number. But man, it took me forever to find that truck in that parking lot.
Yeah, just pick one and say, hey, you didn't specify.
Yeah,
and then you could double charge them for charge them when you tow the right
just
way.
telling Ford it's going to break down sooner or later anyway, so I'm just towing it now.
They don't have numbers on the fenders, like 1, 2.
They did, but they didn't give it to me. And then finally they gave me the guy's phone number, the worker's phone number. So I called him at home. He's like, oh, yeah, it's way in the back. I put an orange cone on the hood. I'm like, well, that would have been good information. So it was pretty cool. He just took like an orange cone. He set it on the hood so I could find it. So that's how I ended up.
So he did more proactive stuff than the company did. That's good to know. Who's your you have Comcast, right, Scott?
Here?
Yeah.
I don't know. Nancy pays the cable bill. I think we have Fios now.
You got Verizon, yeah.
Yeah, Fios, yeah.
All right. We
did have Comcast and we switched.
We have Comcast down here, but we did look into Fios, but they don't
not here.
They don't have the fiber optics here, so they said, you will get satellite TV or something like that, and your internet.
I tell you what, though, I think they're coming your way because I've been seeing a lot of Fios trucks like in the Beechwood area. I think they're starting to work their way down Route 9. I've seen a ton of Verizon and Fios trucks in that area. Bucket
sure
trucks.
It'll happen eventually, but I mean, we don't even have cable, so we have internet. That's it. We're good. Amazon Fire Stick, way to go! I'm telling you. Anyway, so what I was getting at before was when you could have bought a Ford, you were at the house of a Ford guy.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. So we went down. We went. Last show I told you we were on the fence if we were going to go down to Greg Biffle's Triple B 100 Enduro race because of the weather. The weather did look horrible. We didn't think there was a shot of getting it in. So what I did was we were going to leave Thursday around 5 o'clock when Nancy got out of work. I actually had someone covering the tow truck Thursday morning. So I was going to load everything up Thursday morning, be 100% ready when Nancy got home from work. We're going to jump in the truck and drive. It was a 10-hour trip. So we're going to drive like 5 hours Thursday and then the next 5 hours on Friday. But when I got up, man, they were saying like 90% chance of snow down there and it wasn't looking good. And Nancy's messaging Greg Biffle and Greg Biffle's girlfriend asking what's going on down there, and they weren't sure yet. So I went to work.
You're saying that so nonchalantly, like, oh yeah, she's texting Greg Biffle and his girlfriend and stuff.
Yeah.
You're texting Greg Biffle.
yeah, I know. He was, he was real cool about it, and he kept saying, "We're not sure yet. We're not sure yet. We're going to make a decision in a few hours." So I went to work. I told the guy that I had a cover, and I said, "Listen, I'm going to do some tows, and then I'm going to figure out what I want." What we're going to do. Well, she messaged Nancy back around 2 o'clock on Thursday and said, hey, it looks like the storm's coming later. We're going to try to get in and so start heading down. So I rushed home and loaded everything up. Then Nancy got home and we didn't get on the road about 6 or 7 o'clock because I got to later start getting everything loaded up.
Okay.
But what they did was they said, come on down. Friday, we're going to come to the house on Friday, come to the ranch on Friday. And we're gonna practice and race and have a good time on Friday. This way, if the weather gets bad Saturday, we already got it in. So they kind of moved it to Friday night.
But it's going to be dark, right, Scott?
It was going to be dark. So they're like, Greg's getting lights. It's going to be the first time they run the Triple B 100 under the lights. So everybody's pretty excited about that.
Not Musco though. So
I tell you, they were bright though, man. They were the type of lights you would see like when they set up a parking lot somewhere or something with
like
the generator
on the side
of the
or
highway.
something like that.
Yeah, they start them up and the lights come on. But so Thursday night we drive. We got to we didn't get that far. We got to Hagerstown, Maryland, and got a hotel room. And then we were going to get up 6 in the morning and get an early start and head down. But we didn't get back on the road about 8 o'clock. And we drove. We had no problems getting down there. We're watching the weather. Everything's good. And then we're kind of following Greg Biffle on his Instagram account to see what's going on with his side to see, then we see him leaving Charlotte to drive up to the mountain house. And then, so we're wondering if we should rush or not. And then we see him get to the ranch and he's just putting the clay out on the track and stuff like, oh, we got some time then, So we don't get in town to 4 o'clock and we message him again and say, should we come right to the track or should we go check into the hotel room first? What was the plan over there? Well, we hope to be on the track by 6 o'clock. So it was 4 o'clock when we got in town. So me and Nancy went to the hotel. We checked in the hotel and then we went back over to the Triple B ranch where the track was. And when we got there, it was pretty cool watching. Greg Biffle's in he owns his own grader, a road grader, He's out on the track. He's dumping the clay on the track with a dump truck. He's running the grader. He built the track. He maintained it, got the clay and everything. And I asked him too, I'm like, where are you getting the clay from? Because that's like a big thing up here.
Yeah.
Like, different tracks run different clays. He's like, well, look around. North Carolina's all clay. He's like, I just dug a hole out back and got the clay, and I've been bringing it here, Then he's like, that's why it's so hard to grow grass down here because of the clay. Like, he's worried that he doesn't have nice grass down there and stuff, So he did the track. He did a great job. Then he's like, get your car unloaded. Let's start packing the track down. So, I mean, we were literally there like 15 minutes. We're unloading the car, and me and Nancy went out on the track, and we're packing the track down and stuff. And then everybody started showing up, and we all practiced, and it was cool. And then he had one set of lights, and then he called for another set of lights because it was kind of dark with one set of lights. So he got another set of lights. Mm-hmm. They set them up, and it brightened it right up. Then the track conditions were great with the two sets of lights. He had them in the infield facing the turns. So then we had a driver's meeting. We picked out of the hat for starting positions, and he said, the weather looks good for tomorrow now. And I'm looking at my phone. It's like 90% chance of rain at like 10 a.m. And he's like, no, the rain's not coming until later. It's not coming later. He's like, so we're going to run 3 20-lap segments tonight, which was Friday night, which is 60 laps. And he's like, then we'll come back tomorrow morning around 11 o'clock, and we'll run the other 2 segments. I'm like, that's cool. We get 2 days of racing, So we did, that's exactly what we did. We raced 3 segments on Friday night. Friday night was a blast, man. It was a really good time. And then after the racing was done, he actually invited me and Nancy up to the main house on the property, and we went up there and hung out with him in his house and everything. And
how's bragging camp going?
It was weird. We walked into the house. It felt like you were in a lodge, like a ski lodge. They had a big fireplace, and everybody's
awesome.
like, yeah, it's like a common area. They called it. Like, you walked in, it's huge, higher ceilings, big fireplace, couches all over the place. There's a bar in the corner and everything. Then we're like hanging out in the dining room and in the kitchen and stuff. And some girl comes out from the back, and she's like, all right, everybody into the back room. The DJ's all set up and stuff. So we literally like walked through the living room or whatever, go through a set of doors, and it was huge. It was like a bar. It was like a club. And like, he even had like a garage door where you can like pull a car inside the house, which was pretty cool, But when it was shut, it was the same color of the walls and everything, He had skee ball. He had basketball courts back there, big wood stove, video games, a bar, DJ. Everybody's back there having a good time. So we hung out there for a little while, but we actually wanted to leave early because we told you before that the town of Forest City, the next town over, is like real famous for their Christmas lights, and everything was done at midnight, and it was like 10:30 at night. So we told Greg that we were going to go in the town to see the Christmas lights. And there was another couple there. They're like, oh, that's cool. You guys are going to see the lights. And Nancy's like, yeah, we're going to go to the hotel. We're going to drop our truck and trailer off there. And then we're going to Uber into town so we can drink and not worry about driving. And we had a city slicker moment. The girl looked at Nancy and said, there's no Uber up here. You're in the middle of the mountains, so they don't even have Uber down there yet. So I drove, and we bought the race car and everything right in the middle of town. I parked right on Main Street, and we went to this restaurant bar and ate, saw the Christmas lights and everything like that. It was
I'm
really
actually
cool.
kind of surprised you didn't leave the trailer and the race car at the ranch.
I could have. He said I was more than welcome to. He's like, just leave everything here, just take your truck. But the problem was the weather was supposed to be at Saturday morning. Okay. So if we woke up Saturday morning, the weather was real bad, I didn't want to go back over there and like hook everything back up in the pouring rain, Right. By looking at my phone and my weather apps, I didn't think we were going to get anything in on Saturday. I thought we were waking up Saturday morning and the weather was going to be horrible and we were just going to hit the road, Right. So I wanted everything at the hotel. So if I woke up in the morning, the weather's bad, I can start heading north. And it was funny because when we're driving back to the hotel, I said to Nancy, I said, you know what? They're probably right. This storm ain't going to hit until Sunday. As soon as I said that, that guy pulled up in the weather channel van, the guy that rolls up his sleeves and all that stuff. What's his name? Cantone or something?
Cantori?
Yeah, Cantori. She's like, no, that guy's in town staying at our hotel. The weather's going to be bad here,
Well, I thought you were going to say it was Big Jim pulled up to do the weather.
Nah, the weather channel guy that goes to all the towns when they have the bad storms and stuff,
Right.
So we went in town, enjoyed the Christmas lights, hung out with the locals at a local bar in town, and then went back to the hotel and went to sleep. We wake up Saturday morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning. I look at the window. It's nice out. The sun was actually shining. So I wake Nancy up. I said, well, let's get ready. Let's go back over to the ranch and see what's going on. So we had breakfast and everything. And we did have to go to Aldi's and pick up 40 hamburger rolls because
did you lose a bet?
No. What happened was when we went back up to the house, when we were talking to Greg and his girlfriend, we were telling them how we're in the rescuing cats, the cat rescue and all that stuff. Well, he's in the dog rescues. He does boxers. He rescues boxers, and they have like 4 or 5 dogs in the house. And they said when we were down in the front of the property racing, the dogs ate all the hamburger rolls. They had 40 hamburger rolls for Saturday for the barbecue on Saturday. So we had to go to Aldi's. And we just told them, we said, listen, our hotel's right across the street from Aldi's. We'll run and get you guys hamburger rolls. So we had to go get 40 hamburger rolls to bring back to the ranch for the barbecue after the races. And so we go back to the ranch, and same thing. Biffle's out there on his road grader grading the track, and they got a tractor with discs on the back, and they're disking it in. They're putting clay on it, and it's 11 o'clock, and people are starting to show up and everything. And so he has a driver meeting around noon. He's like, all right, we're going to run the next 2 segments, and that's exactly what we did. We ran the next 2 segments, and then it started raining a little bit. But we kept racing. It wasn't bad. Just made it wasn't a downpour. It wasn't downpour, and it didn't make the track too slick. So we did get both segments in. We got the group photo in. We got all that stuff in, and then around 2 o'clock we were all done. And I loaded back up and got everything loaded. Changed into my regular clothes because now it's starting to rain and sleet a little bit. So we wanted to get on the road and get out of there. And I went back over and saw Biffle and his girlfriend and said, listen, we're going to hit the road. They're like, oh, no, you got to come to the house. We're going to have a big barbecue and the award ceremonies. Like, they had trophies and stuff. They had like a whole little banquet set up for after the race. I said, now we're going to start heading north. And we did. And I tell you what, it didn't really snow. And then we're following them on Instagram. I was a little disappointed we didn't stay because the big thing they do on this property, it's 1,200 acres. He has trails all through the woods. They're real big into those side-by-sides,
okay, yeah. Like the Polaris
ATVs
things.
Or UTVs. Yeah, they call them side-by-sides because you sit next to each other and you drive them, like they're like a big quad, but you sit next to each other, And he's got like 20 of them there, He's like, oh, why don't you guys stay? Jump on one of the side-by-sides, go through the property and all that. I said, maybe next year, But we did get on the road, and we're watching them, and they're all riding through the trails and stuff, So we did miss that, but we had to get on the road.
Everything's great.
Yeah, so that was a little disappointing, but it paid off for us because we're tracking the storm, and we had really, for us to be safe, we had to get about 50 miles north of Roanoke, Virginia, which is about 3 or 4 hours into the trip. So we got into Winchester, Virginia, where we were pretty safe from the storm and got a hotel room again. And then, so we went to sleep. We wake up in the morning, and Biffle posts on his Instagram that, they were out riding all day and having a great time. And then they went to bed at night, and there was no weather. Well, they woke up in the morning to 8 inches of snow on the ground. So it was a good thing we got out of there. Yeah.
Wow.
He put pictures of the ranch, in the snow and stuff. The property
I'm sure it looked
really
gorgeous.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they woke up to 8 inches of snow. So we were glad that we canceled our room on Saturday night and got out of there, or we would have been stuck down there. There was a funny Greg Biffle story too. He was going back to California on Sunday. He has a place in California, and all the flights were canceled in Charlotte. So he actually drove from Charlotte to Atlanta, Georgia, to get a flight to go to California. So he was busy on Sunday.
Wow. Just to switch flights. What
yeah, I don't know what the rush was to get out in California, but whatever it was, he really had to get out there. But he's a pretty cool guy, and he's really into off-roading. And when we were talking to him a little bit, here we are standing in a beautiful house and on a 1,200 acre ranch. So I say, is this your full-time residence? He's like, no, I come here like 6 times a year. He's like, I still have my house in Charlotte. He's like, but the property I really like is my California house. He's real into the dune buggies, like the sand rails and all that stuff.
Okay.
I said, well, how big is your place out there? He's like, oh, it's only 8 acres, but it's attached to like 330,000 acres of like state sand dunes.
Oh, wow.
And he said right from his shop, he can literally open his door up and just take his sand buggy out and just ride forever, So that's what he's really into doing now is the sand buggies and stuff out there on the sand dunes,
So Scott, did you get any trophies?
No, we didn't finish in the money.
I saw, what was it? You finished 8th, 5th, and 4th on
there ended
Friday
up being
night?
15 cars. There like 14 or 15 cars there. I mean, there was cars coming and going, because because there was 5 segments, so some people would break down, and then some guy would get his car running and come back for the next segment. So there was always like 14 or so cars or whatever. And the first segment we finished 8th, and then we finished 5th, and we finished 4th. So we were getting there. And then, then we came back Saturday, and I think I finished 5th or 6th again. And then the last segment, we got a right front flat tire. The tire just came off the bead. So I didn't finish.
Well, if you get that rim to dig into that dirt, I mean, you'll turn real well.
It wasn't turning, man. We tried. I went like 5 laps with the right front flat. I was barely keeping it on the track. It was getting bad, so we finally pulled off. So I mean, for a car I pulled out of the junkyard basically, and not a guy was junking it, never even made it to the junkyard, but the car ran great, man. I was down on power. They had those police interceptor Crown Vics, and I mean, another guy did have an Impala there, but he had a 305. I only had a 6-cylinder. Josh, I would literally had the thing in second gear, and my foot was to the floor, and all I was doing was steering the car. Like, I never lifted for the corners, I could get them pretty good through the corners, but they were killing me down the straightaways. And they were all running Hoosiers too. I went with a DOT, like a snow tread, which worked great. The tire worked great, and they were popping a lot of tires more than I was. Like the problem was when you try to race a racing dirt tire on a regular rim without bead locks, they come off the bead. Right. So a lot of time they were coming off the bead, but it was pretty cool, man. He had a complete service truck there. Like, it was a Ford pickup with the utility body on the back, it was totally set up. He had everything he needed in it: starting fluid, oil, gear lube, tranny fluid. It had a welder, it had torches, it had floodlights. So anything you needed, you just went over to the service truck and got it, but I never needed it. I had my full trailer with all my stuff. I kind of set up my own little pit, just like I was at Wall Stadium. I did break a brake line. So I had to fix that, and I had everything to fix that. I had brake fluid and everything like that. So I was
picturing you like working, flare, doing the double flare, laying under the car.
Well, I got lucky because that happened after the second segment. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, we're all done. We just broke a brake line. The pedal's gone to the floor. We got nothing, But then I looked out, and I see Biffle getting out of his car, getting back in the grader, and he's grading the track. So, I'm like, man, I got like a half hour if they're prepping the track for the next one. So, yeah, we fixed the brake line and got everything working again. And the radiator support and shroud and a bunch of that stuff.
I saw you were using a winch or a couple
we're using ratchet straps. Hooked back to James Myers that he used to race 4-cylinders at Wall Stadium.
Okay.
He moved to the Mooresville area a few years back. That's why he's not racing Wall Stadium anymore. He actually saw on Facebook and Instagram that we were going down there, and he just showed up. Him and his wife showed up. So when we had that one fender bender in the radiator, and all the radiator support got pushed back, I was lucky because the car had a clutch fan. So when the radiator got pushed back in the fan stopped spinning. So it didn't chew the radiator, but nothing. So I said, Nancy, go find James and tell him we need a hand. So James came over and helped us, and I had him pull his truck up to the car because he had a hitch on the back of his truck.
Yep.
And I took 2 ratchet straps and hooked where the safety chains would go on his hitch, and I hooked them to the radiator support, and we just kept clicking them, and it pulled the radiator support, radiator, and everything away from the fan. So that was all fixed. That was good.
So how did it get bent there, Scott?
What happened was I was having so much fun. I didn't realize the checker flag came out, and they all were stopping to pull off the track, and I just ran right in the back of them, man. And that's how the brake line broke too, because I hit the brakes so hard to try to stop from hitting them and hit them at the same time. It popped one of their brake lines. So we got it all straightened out. And the bad thing about that, I couldn't get the hood open because now the hood latch was all it's got the stock hood latch. So I literally just unbolted the hood latch so the whole mechanism lifted up. And then when I got it, of course now it's not going to lock down. So then I took the springs off the hood latches so the hood couldn't pop back out open, and bungee corded it down and everything, So it felt just like we were at a real race, we were like crashing to get ready for the next race. It was a lot of fun.
I thought you were going to say you just ratchet strapped the hood down.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Clay in the track. What is that? I know nothing about it really.
Well, it's dirt racing. They usually use a clay.
It was a dirt race. He set up a dirt track. It wasn't an asphalt track. And I tell you what, it was high bank too. Like he had it set up perfect, like a perfect part of his property where it had like natural banking because the one corner went into like the hill. So it was the hill banking. And then higher up on the hill, that's where everybody stood to watch the race. So it was like natural grandstands, and a high bank turn. And then the other turn too went into another hill slope and it was like perfect banking. He really picked a cool spot to have the track,
That's awesome. And like you said, you got to actually. I saw some pictures of you hanging out with Greg Biffle, and
that was in his house. We were in his house hanging out with him. I mean, what a great guy, man. He was so much fun, and we just thanked him for. And then because then I'm like, when he invited us up to the house afterwards, I said, well, should I just leave my truck and trailer down here and walk up, or should I drive up? He's like, you better drive up. He's like, it's a little tight up there, but we'll get you turned around when it's time to leave. Don't worry about it. Yeah, just pack everything up and drive up to the house. So me and Nancy are like, all right. So I get everything packed up. We drive up there. Now I know why he wanted me to drive up, not walk up. It's like 2 miles up this mountain to where the house is, And it's just like Dale Jr.'s place. We're going up the mountain. There's like an old gas station set up with gas pumps. And, it's gas is 69 cents and all this stuff, So we passed that, and there's like old Texaco signs in the woods and stuff like that. Like it was just it was set up like an old town, It was really cool. So then we get up to the top of the hill where his he called it his cabin, but it was a beautiful home, And when we're in the house talking to him, he's like, "Hey, did you see my gas?" I said to him, "Well, now I know why you didn't want me to walk up here. It was 2 miles up this mountain." He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty far up here." He's like, "Hey, did you see my gas station on the way up there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I saw it. I think it's pretty cool." He's like, that's a he's like, inside that gas station is a full house. Like there's a kitchen in there and a beds and bathrooms. He's like, when we come up here, some of my friends stay right in that gas station. It's totally set up to live in there and stuff like that, So then I got talking to him. I'm like, well, how long have you? North Carolina. It was in Rutherfordton, North Carolina, about an hour and a half north of Charlotte. And I asked him, I said, who owned the property before you? He's like, yeah, it was this property. He's like, it was this 1,200 acres of woods. He's like, everything you see here, we built, and that's why he had the road grader, because he had to make his own roads and everything,
Yeah.
And that's, so he had all the stuff, everything he built. He's owned it since 2001. So he did a great job, putting this place together,
Well, you figure he's, with what he's done, he should be able to drive the grader, obviously. Although at the same time, when I saw him win at Dover, he did donuts and backed it into the fence right at the gate for the crossover there.
I tell you what, man, he can freaking drive, man.
Yeah.
Just racing with him on dirt, because I was running right with him, and I was following him through passing cars and stuff, and he and I asked him too. I said, are you from a dirt background? Did you race dirt before you went big time? He's like, no. He's like, I grew up in Washington State, and he's like, I grew. They had a Southwest or Northwest late model tour out there. He said I started racing late models, then I moved to the Winston West just for a few races, and then he said Benny Parsons saw him racing somewhere.
Of all people, wow.
Yeah, of all people, yeah. Benny Parsons saw him racing in the Midwest. He said they had some race where NASCAR had it on TV or something. Benny Parsons was a commentator.
Wasn't it that summer series where?
No, that was Kevin Harvick. He said Kevin Harvick. That winter heat or something. Yeah, he's like, no, it was just they had a couple races televised out there, and Benny Parsons was the commentator, and he got to know Greg, and he told Jack Roush that was starting a truck team, hey, I saw this guy Greg Biffle racing out west, and you should give him a call. And he said if it wasn't for Benny Parsons, he would have never met Jack Roush. And he said the weird thing is when he started racing for Jack Roush in the truck series, it wasn't even in Charlotte. The trucks were based out of Michigan. So he said it was a long time before he even came down the Charlotte area. Wow. Because the trucks were based out of Michigan. He said, it kind of ticked me off. Here I am racing my whole life. He said he was only racing a couple years when he got to ride with Jack Roush. So he said he moved up really quick, So
did he have funding?
No, nope. It was all because he said it was all because Benny Parsons and Ford. That's when the trucks were starting, and
so it
Ford was big.
Talent and timing.
Yeah, talent, timing, and Benny Parsons.
Wow.
Because Nancy even asked him, well, did you race Flemington? He's like, yeah, I did race. I raced Flemington once. The year I started Flemington running the trucks was the last year Flemington had the trucks. He remembered Flemington and everything like that. He's a real down there guy who was real cool to talk to,
That seems. I'm still trying to figure out how they had a DJ and all that stuff in this.
He had all the equipment. It's like his own bar, like his own club. Like he didn't have a DJ. He had DJ equipment. His one friend was playing all the music and stuff like that. You know.
Did you see any cameras?
No cameras.
That's my bad joke.
But you know what? It was funny though. Everybody was still wearing like Cheez-It shirts and 3M shirts from like, Granger shirts from all his sponsorships. They must give him boxes and boxes of that stuff because he's still wearing it. He's still wearing like Ford hats. And they had General Tire sponsoring our race. Like they had General Tire banners hanging up and they were giving everybody General Tire hats. So he still has like NASCAR connections.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
Well,
I'm sure that car that he's driving around, that dirt truck, has probably been to the local Ford dealer and got a chip or two put it in.
Yeah, I did.
Too,
I had people tell me that on the way home that were Ford mechanics. They said you can put chips in them, like super tune them, and they really wake those cars up. So I'm sure his car was all tuned up. He told me though that car's 10 years old. He said he went to a government auction and bought 10 cop cars, and he's had that one ever since. And he says he races it once a year and he puts it back behind the barn and covers it up.
Let's be honest, his pill pick helped him a little bit too, right?
Yeah, but you know what? It didn't help him because when we picked out of the hat, he drew first, and I was Facebook Live, and I said, "Yeah, that was set up. You had that number one in your hand before you even picked." And then his friend, that was actually like the race director or whatever you want to call him, he's like, "All right, Biff, you picked the pole. We're inverting." So we actually inverted.
Oh,
that took another 25 minutes to figure out the invert. They should have just put Biffle to the back and started everybody else where they were.
Math is hard,
In this day and age, it's really not hard to get the transponder thing hooked up,
Yeah, but they don't take it that serious.
It's about fun and a charity thing.
Doesn't want to get it that serious. Like the finishing order was on your honor. When we pulled off the track, that guy was standing there. He's like, "Where'd you finish?" I'm like, "We think 8th." He's like, "All right, 09 8th." And then that's the way it was. It was just for fun. And I remember the drivers being too. Some local guy showed up with a car and he says, "Well, how much does the race pay to win?" Biffle looked right at him. He says, "If you win, you have to pay me $1,000."
Yeah, I saw that in your Facebook Live.
Yeah, so he tries to keep it fun. He doesn't want people showing up with race cars. He wants to keep it. He wants to keep it under 20 cars, and he has 10 of his own. So it's hard to get invited to this thing, and I'm glad we did. And the last thing I asked him when we left, I said, "Greg, we're going to start heading north, but we had a great time. Can I do it again next year?" He's like, "Yeah, definitely. You can definitely come back next year." So
now, if let's say I wanted to come along and watch Scott, outside of me getting there and stuff like that, whether I paid you for a ride or not, would I be allowed to come watch, or is it like, are you allowed like a +1 or something?
I'm sure. It didn't feel like he was strict with who showed up and stuff like that. We got there early, so he actually gave us the code to the gate. So that's how we got in. I don't know what happened with the gate, if they had somebody at the gate and were letting people in, or I don't know. We got there early. I had the code to the gate. I opened the gate myself and drove in, and then the gate shut behind me. What happened after that, I don't know how they were letting people in or who they were letting in,
Well, that was one of my questions. Like, was the people in the town, did they know anything was going on?
Sorry, Scott's reaction to that question.
A few people we mentioned too, they don't even know who Greg Biffle was. You know what I'm saying? Like when we went to that little bar in town,
Wow.
They really didn't know. It's weird being in North Carolina and people not knowing who this. But she knew who the bartender. She was 23 years old, I think, when we got talking there. And she asked why we were down here from New Jersey. And we told her that we're doing an Enduro over at Greg Biffle's farm. She's like, "Oh, I heard that name. Why does that sound familiar?" And I said, "Oh, he's a NASCAR racer." "Oh, okay." "Hey, I'm not into NASCAR," but she could rattle off every wrestler from 1988 to the present time. She knew who like Coco Beware was and all people like that. But she was into wrestling. Yeah. So she was a wrestling fan. It was funny because on the way back, after we bought the hamburger rolls and everything, we're on our way back. before we got to the ranch, I wanted to stop and get gas. This way, if the weather got bad, we had a full tank and we can get out of there.
Yeah, you do not want to be in the Carolinas when it snows because nobody else there knows how to handle.
Yeah, you know what it is. It's not that everybody says, "Oh, they don't know what they're doing." It's not that they don't know what they're doing. They just don't have the equipment we have.
They're also not prepped to salt and stuff.
The town's buy like 2 plow trucks. We're up here. The town's buy 30 plow trucks because they're not going to invest that much money because it doesn't snow that much.
Yeah.
What I did see was kind of weird. They must have rented like snow crews and plows from other towns because we seen like on the highway, like it was called like Snow Be Gone or something like that. Like there'd be 30 trucks going down the road, all painted white with like green lettering on them. Like they're like,
so it's like private companies.
Yeah, like private companies. They must call in, when southern towns are getting snow and they're not set up for it. Like they rented it. Like there's companies out there, they can call it, bring snow plows and stuff.
That name again is Mr. Plow.
Yeah, it was exactly companies like that. I think it was called Snow Be Gone or something. It said on the side of it. Yeah. So anyway, I want to stop at a gas station before we get to the farm. Because once we leave that town, he lives like royal country. Like you got to go up these country roads to get to his ranch. Well, there's this little like gas station / deli / buy your bait here, you buy your hunting clothes here,
ammo.
So we pull into the gas station. I pull up to the pump. It's not even a digital pump. It's like one of those ones with the round things, little goes ting, ting, ting every time a gallon goes in, So we pull up and there's only one pump. There's 2 pumps there. One's broke, like someone ran it over in like 1985. And the other pumps work. And Nancy's like, I don't think you should get gas here. I don't feel good about you getting gas here. I said, well, let me go and at least get a couple of drinks out of the store while we're at the track. So when I come back out, she's like, oh, you can get gas here. The kid we're racing with just pulled out with his car and he's going to get gas here. So one of the local kids that was racing with us.
Yeah.
On the general store down the street from the ranch. So Greg must know him from stopping and getting gas and stuff like that. I do have a video of me pumping that gas. I'll send you guys the pump. But
Jersey boy pumps gas. The new YouTube viral video.
But
yeah.
You know what's weird down there is that Hunt's Pizza. Tim, do you notice that when you go down to North Carolina? They sell Hunt's Pizza in like every gas station. Like I just know Hunt's Pizza from sponsoring Elliot Sadler and Kevin Harvick and all that. But for $9.99, you can get a Hunt's Pizza at any gas station you want with any toppings you want.
No,
really.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it looks like the pizzas you see in 7-Eleven. You're walking pizzas in there. That's what it looked like, But they were
sound effect for
that. Scott actually opts for the boiled peanuts topping.
No, I tell you what, I didn't see boiled peanuts that whole trip.
Yeah, they have them down the street here now. From me,
really?
Yeah, I sent you the picture that was it last week? Yeah, all of a sudden we talk about how bad boiled peanuts are, and then I walk into my sandwich shop, like I do every morning, and all of a sudden there's a sign that says boiled peanuts, and they had regular and Cajun.
Got to go with a Cajun.
Well, I don't know, Scott.
Yeah, you got to go with the Cajun. At least it has some type of flavor.
Spice.
Yeah, but Scott tried both. He was telling us a week or two ago, and on his last trip down to Florida for camping. He tried it, but they put the Cajun ones on top. So then it made all of them Cajun. So, whoops.
But Tim, the one guy we were parked next to there that had a car, he said he races the IndyCar division at Wake County Speedway. Isn't that by your mother-in-law's house? Isn't that the track you guys go to when you're down
where's
there?
your book?
Yeah.
The Wake County Speedway?
Yeah.
So
somebody's backyard.
Yeah, he said. I said, well, how far is that track from here? He said about an hour and a half. So we were about an hour and a half away from your mother-in-law's house down there.
That track's literally like 10 minutes from Betty's house.
So he raced the IndyCar division at Wake County. He said that's basically what we were racing at Biffle's, where you just show up with any car and race.
Kind of a run what you brung, but
but not a race car. A junk car.
I got a story about that. We went there one time. It was just a Saturday night or whatever, and we bought the girls there, and we're sitting in the stands, and it's pretty cool racing there. And it reminds me of Flemington, not so much the shape of the track, but it's got guardrails on both sides of it. And I'd be like, I turn to my wife, it would be cool to see a modified go around here. And we watching the race, and then intermission, out rolls this black modified, chrome wheels, chrome Nerf bars. It was the guy that was promoting the North-South Shootout.
Yeah.
Remember when he had that car there?
Yeah.
He had somebody go around there, do a couple laps. So it was cool. But I got to see a modified go around there. And they have good bologna sandwich, fried bologna sandwich.
And boiled Cajun peanuts.
Actually, Scott, was there any food at the Triple B other than the rolls or the buns?
There wasn't on Friday, but like I said, when we got invited up to the house, we told him we were leaving to go to dinner in the town and see the Christmas lights. He's like, "Oh, why don't you stay? I have food coming." So he had food coming. I don't know what they were having there, but they were waiting on food.
Our on-site reporter didn't try out food at a track.
And then like I said, on Saturday they were supposed to have a couple food trucks there,
right?
But they canceled the food trucks because of the weather. You know, the whole town was like closing down. You know what I'm saying? Like, that Forest City. We were there Friday night and saw the Christmas lights, and we were hanging out in that bar with the locals. They were telling us that they already canceled the Christmas festivities for Saturday and Sunday. So they had like sleigh rides there, like horse and carriage rides, and all sorts of stuff like that, Christmas stuff there, and it was all canceled for Saturday. And Sunday.
I'm sorry. I all in my head. I just keep going. Quick, cancel the Christmas stuff. It's snowing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. They should have beefed it up. It would have been more fun in the snow. But
can you imagine that? Like, I mean, that's like the perfect date night. We're gonna go out and see all this Christmas festivity. Oh, it's snowing. Let's do our Christmas kiss and all that stuff.
Yeah, but the storm did come a day later. They thought it was gonna start snowing around Saturday at 10 in the morning. It didn't start snowing until Sunday, until like early, like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Sunday morning. It started snowing there. Right. But yeah, because of the weather, the food trucks got canceled. And she even put a tweet out saying, if you come to the track, stop at this deli or whatever before you get here. If you want food, we're not going to have food. But then I said afterwards he was having like a barbecue up at the cabin for his friends and stuff, and he invited us to that, but we had to get on the road.
Does he, do you know if he was like cooking it himself or was it catered?
I really don't know. I want
to know what.
I think they were cooking themselves because we had to bring them the hamburger rolls.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. Yeah. I was just kind of curious what kind of grill he had.
Did he have
somebody probably got from Granger when he was racing for Granger.
I sell propane and propane accessories.
Did he have liver mush?
I don't know. We didn't stay for the food. But I'm telling you, it was like out in a real bar. Like, you know, he's like, just take whatever you guys want. Like, he had like the big refrigerators with the glass front, you know, with all beer in it and soda and everything. You just opened it, you know, it felt like you were in a restaurant, you know.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, obviously, I mean, he won how many cup races and all that. So
19. He said he won 19 cup races. And like,
so, I mean, he's got some money, and you know, I'm sure he invested and all that. But I mean, it's like you going in there, and I don't think I'm not trying to say like, oh, you know, he's gloating or anything. Not like that at all.
No, he was far. It was more like he was hiding what he had more than gloating. Like he was.
But at the same time, like, come on, the DJ or you know, all that stuff. Like, and
but that wasn't even him. That was some girl, you know, one of his friends. You know, you know, like we were literally sitting at the dining room table with him, just hanging out. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, "Come on, the party's in here. We got everything going over here. Everybody into they called it like the DJ room or something like that." And everybody went back in there. You know,
that's I don't know. The whole thing seems just like I want to go, and if I can find a way. If you go back next year, Scott, I
tell you what, it was a hike though, man. It's 700 miles.
Round trip or one way?
One way. yeah, it's a hike, man.
Well,
so is it closer to Georgia, I guess, or?
I guess, yeah. If he went to Atlanta to catch a flight, you know what I'm saying? It was far.
I'm gonna throw Scott a few bucks, and I'm gonna try to hide in the back of his truck.
On the way down, Nancy's like looking at airports every time we pass an airport. She's like, "There's an airport there." She's like, "Next year I'm flying down," you know.
Oh, you do all
North
the work.
North Carolina's difficult because it's, you know, there's not a lot of, you know, airports are hard to get where a lot of places you're going, right?
Yeah, unless you're going to Charlotte.
Yeah, they're very.
Hear that, Sam? Sam,
But we did pass North Wilkesboro. We went through North Wilkesboro, and then we passed Hickory. We did go through Hickory.
Did you stop to look for the track, or?
I wanted to.
But time.
I said because when you pass Hickory, you see signs for the track. Then we passed North Wilkesboro, and we seen signs for the track. I said, let's stop. And she's like, no, let's get out of here. She was so worried about the weather because they were salting the roads and spraying the roads
You should have stopped. Should have stopped in North Wilkesboro. They probably would have let you take that.
That's what I said. I said we could probably drive the car around the track. We stopped over there, and we did see signs for Ryan Newman's rescue range too. We seen billboard signs and stuff like that for that. So that's another place we could have stopped. But like I said, it was a good trip. It was a fun trip. It was worth going down. But it was kind of you always had that weather in the back of your mind, so you never felt relaxed there. So it was. We did skip doing a few things we really wanted to do because of the weather, but we were glad we did go.
So I mean,
at least stuff for do next year when we go down there.
So I was just gonna say, so you're definitely planning on tentatively going back next year.
Yeah, with an 8-cylinder though.
That was one of my questions. I mean, I know everybody knows we obviously talk because we're brothers, but like when you do something, you usually go. You're like, Tim, I'm going to go do a demo in Pennsylvania, but I'm going to go watch first so I know what I can do to the car or can't do to the car. Now that you've been to this Biffle thing and you can go back next year, what would you do different besides bring the proper car? I mean, what would we do preparation-wise?
Probably, I was pretty prepared. I liked the tires I had on the car. The car ran great and handled great. It just I was down on power. So yeah, the only other thing I would do is bring the same exact car but an 8-cylinder. I'm glad I bought that car because I did have stuff to fix it with when the brake line did break and all that stuff. Like I knew how to work on that style car. If I got one of the newer cars like they got and the thing won't start, I'm not gonna know how to get it started. With this car, I still had a distributor, a carburetor, and all that stuff.
I'm assuming they had fuel injection.
Yeah, they had fuel injection, electric fuel pumps, all that stuff. I saw the manual fuel pump and all that stuff. Like I could work on the car I took down there, and that's why I liked that car.
Right.
I'm really just going to look for another Caprice or an Impala, 4-door Caprice or Impala, but with a 305 or a 350 in it.
So are you going to junk the car that you took, or?
As a matter of fact, I just started it up before we started doing the podcast and got in the garage. I'm going to strip some stuff off it and junk it. Yeah.
I thought we were going to have the Riggleman, graveyard of cars or something.
Nah, no, I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to strip some stuff off it and get rid of it. It was a great car. It got beat up pretty good, but yeah, it's time to find something else.
Well, at least it had a good last.
No, it did start right up, and I did drive right in the driveway. Like, man, there is a junk car race in Maine on like January 9th or something at Oxford Plains Speedway. I'm like, I can go up there and finish this thing off. But, I really got to get working on my factory stocks. I want to put new bodies on both cars, so I really got to start working on them.
Scott, are you going to do? Are you doing sheet metal, or are you going to do like the 5-star kit?
No, I'm stock bodies. I got all those Monte Carlos. I'm going to use the stock doors. Fenders.
Scott has a secret yard of cars somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think you gave like a town, like it's like Jackson or something like that you have them all.
Maybe
maybe not. He's not at liberty to say. But Scott, all right. I'm just curious. How many cars do you have over there?
I don't know.
More than 10
there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have 10 there, and I think I have another 7 or 8 at another location.
So, I mean, that's control arms, that's drive shafts.
Well, I mean, they've been picked at. I mean, there's a couple full complete cars, but some have been picked at. Some of the rears have been out of them, and some of trailing arms and A arms. Some are missing spindles because I've been using them. I mean, I've been racing factory stock since 2012, so I've been picking at them.
Yeah, and so you figure, now this year you're going to strip a couple bodies and
and when I strip the bodies off, I'll cut the front clips off it, have them ready to go. God forbid if I ever need a clip, which I hope I never do. Oh. And while it's here, I'm going to strip all the parts off it and then junk the carcass. You know what I'm saying?
Now, with the down bars that I think we were allowed a couple years ago to put those in, that obviously helps, but I mean, do you think that? I mean, how much does that help saving the front clip? Because I mean, you can still bend it if you hit.
Yeah, but But now basically you'll bend the horn. You won't bend the whole clip. You know what I'm saying?
So it'll be front of the
front of the arms. You know, some cars would have the motors in them. I don't feel like pulling the motors to cut the clip off. I'll just cut the horns from the spring bucket forward in case I ever need just a horn. You know what I'm
saying? Would you still use like the exhaust manifolds and stuff off of those cars? I can't speak.
Oh yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. I definitely keep the exhaust manifolds.
Okay.
My brother asked me what I would do different with my Greg Biffle car. When I went down there this year, when I had the car up in the lift, I looked at the exhaust. The guy must have put brand new exhaust on the car before he junked it, you know? So I'm looking at the exhaust. It had a brand new catalytic converter, a brand new muffler. The pipes wasn't even rusted. So I left the full exhaust system on the car, and I went down there. It was a little bit of a mistake, too, because first round, no problem. Second round, the track started rutting up pretty good and getting some pretty good holes in it. We were
bottoming out, weren't you?
So we ripped the exhaust right off. No big deal. Now my car sounds like everybody else's because everybody else cut the exhaust off. Problem was, the exhaust was wrapped around the rear, and then a piece of the tailpipe was hitting the gas tank. It started leaking a little bit, like from it pressing up on there. So I had my saws on everything from regular Saturday night racing. So I got underneath and cut the exhaust all off. And got that done in between segments, and there you go. So it's all just like that. And I was worried because I never charged it up. I charged it up before Turkey Derby, but it's been cold, so I'm like, I don't know if I have enough charge. But it did. It cut right through it. I cut it. I got the exhaust out, and like there wasn't a hole poked in the tank or not. It just pressed up on the tank a little bit, like it made it leak from like one of the seams, like a little bit. Like it wasn't like running out or dripping. It was just wet. Like it was like weeping a little bit, So yeah, next time I would definitely cut the exhaust off.
Now, do you take like the back seat and the carpet and all that stuff out of
nothing. Windows, rolling down the windows.
It was funny because
Biffle had the radio on the whole time.
Yeah, he had an in-car camera. I was watching one. Yeah. He goes, "Turn your heat off. It's too hot in here."
Yeah, we had the heat on for a little while. Nancy was mad at our cigarette lighter didn't work. She wanted to be able to plug her phone in while we were racing so we could film it. No, he wants some bone stock. He wants some bone stock, junkyard stock.
Did you have like a crossbar or something?
No, that's good. In the Adora world and the Demolition Derby world, that's called a splitter bar. They call that a splitter bar, where you go from a B post to B post behind the seat. No, I didn't even do that.
Was that allowed though?
Yeah, that's allowed. I think Biffle might have had that in a car because I think he didn't, but some of the other cars had racing seats in them. With a splitter bar.
Like I'm just talking about some very basic safety stuff.
Yeah. I think Biffle's car had 5-point harness in it, but I tell you why, with the stock seat and the stock seat belt, I felt fine in there. I mean, the track's only an 1/8 mile, So
what were you doing, like 30?
Yeah, like 35, 40 miles an hour. We definitely drove faster to the track than we did on the track. I never. Biffle didn't even wear a fire suit, helmet, nothing. He had like a wool hat on. I wore my fire suit and my helmet.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask, like, how many of your competitors were in race gear?
Me and Nancy were in full race gear. I had my fireproof underwear on too. Number one for safety. Number two, because it was cold out, so it kept me warm,
Yeah.
I had my racing shoes on because I did go out in the first one with my sneakers on. And I tell you what, from racing all my life with racing shoes and then trying to race with sneakers on, it felt funny, So I couldn't really feel the pedals that good. So I went back, I put my racing shoes on. There was a couple guys wearing, there was a lot of people wearing helmets. Some had like the old style neck collars, like the foam neck collars.
Right.
We were the only one in full fire suits, but there was a couple of guys with the fireproof jackets, just a jacket top.
Oh, like from the go-karts and stuff like that.
From the two-piece fire suit.
Go-kart champion of the world.
Yes, that's right.
I'm sure Bruce has a fire jacket. Yeah, a lot of guys were wearing jackets. A lot of people were wearing helmets. I didn't feel out of place because I was wearing a fire suit, But no, I definitely wore all my stuff,
Yeah.
Number one. But and the main reason was because my gas tank started leaking. So I said maybe the fireproof underwear is not a bad idea with a leaking gas tank.
Got to protect those gonads, man.
Yeah.
Did they have a fire truck there?
Yeah, they did. He had a full ambulance there, and he had the fire department was there. So yeah, no, we were totally safe.
Well, that goes back to my question about permits and insurance.
Yeah, no, the EMT guys were there, and they had their, it looked like a brush truck. That's what they had there. They had a brush truck there with all the fire equipment on it and the hose and the water tank and all that stuff. And they had a full like ambulance there, like the jaws of life and all that stuff. No, it was definitely set up safe. He definitely had all the safety in mind.
That's impressive. It really is. I mean, I don't know that
he was selling T-shirts and all that stuff. He had Triple B100 shirts made up, and the money he raised with that went to the local fire department.
So you got one for all the podcast members, right?
He only had up to extra large. I wanted to.
I wear an extra large.
Yeah, I know them online. Yeah.
I'm just.
But he had 3 porta johns there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then in the woods, there was a real outhouse there. People were using the real outhouse. Like there was a real outhouse on the property. A wooden outhouse with the moon cut in it, and it's a big hole in the ground.
The pit privies.
Greg Biffle had more places to go to the bathroom than Wall Stadium does.
Yeah, he really did. I think the house that we were in, I think Nancy said it had 14 bathrooms and 10 bedrooms. Yeah, 10 bedrooms and stuff.
Oh my. Wow.
Yeah, he had 3 porta johns and an outhouse down there. They had electric run down there.
No, that's where you are now in 609.
Right. No, it's upscale.
Yeah.
He had water hoses down there, like in the ground. Like he must have had a well down there, so you had you need water for your car. You had water. You had everything. It felt like you were out to races. It was cool. We had a little pit area set up, and people were parked next to each other and helping each other, and just like any other day, I filled it up with gas. I checked the tire.
I thought you were going to say dipstick.
Yeah, I checked my tire pressure. Had to take my hubcaps off to make sure my lugs were tight and put my hubcaps on. I took a lot of grief going down there. I put pictures up on Facebook, and everybody's like, I can't believe you got the hubcaps on. They're going to go fly in the woods. My hubcaps never fell off once, man. I'm keeping them for next year. I'm putting them on the next car, man. The hubcaps on my car were a hit. Everybody loved that I had hubcaps on my car because a lot of people had racing wheels on it, like we run, Josh, like the aero wheels,
Yeah. I'm gonna one up you and put spinners on.
So I went with the stock round Chevy hubcaps, and people loved that I had hubcaps on my car.
That's honestly, I haven't followed a race that intently in quite a while, but I was watching for your or Nancy's updates and the live videos and stuff. That was how'd you make out with the GoPro? I know I gave you those
GoPro,
stickies.
Josh. After practice, I'm like, Nance, I'm not even putting that GoPro on because there's no way that thing stayed stuck in the dashboard. That's how hard we were bottoming out. I said, that thing's going to end up flying out the window because I
still had the roof.
Yeah. And I could, but we couldn't turn it on and stuff. And I had Nancy sitting next to me with her phone. So she was filming it with her phone anyway. So we really didn't need the GoPro, but I'll take a picture of the dashboard in that car tomorrow, Josh, and you'll see why there's nothing sticking to that dashboard. There's so much dirt and dust on it. Plus it's cracked. It looks like a checkerboard. Every inch of that thing is cracked from the sun, Plus Biffle, his girlfriend was videotaping it from the outside. Biffle was they had it live on Periscope, and you can even go back if everybody goes on Periscope, puts Triple B100 in, it comes up on Periscope. There were so many people there with their phones, and Nancy there with her phone, me there with my phone. There was so much recording going on. I'm like, you know what? I'm not risking trying to lose another GoPro down here.
What if I'm just throwing this out there because how I've done factory stock videos for how many years, Scott? I mean, Scott got upset one time when I didn't use his video because I actually screwed up and didn't realize that he had uploaded it already, and I've just done it forever. So what if let's say I give you a couple bucks, I hitch a ride with you down there next year, and I actually film it and use some GoPros and stuff and make one of my videos out of that. What do you think?
I mean, I'm still waiting on one from Turkey Derby. Yeah. We haven't got that one done yet, so
we're gonna get deep here, guys.
Yeah, let's get the Turkey Derby one out before Christmas, and then we'll talk about the Triple B100.
I already have it in my mind. That video is going to get worked on, or those videos. The 2 days will be worked on when we do our Christmas break from the podcast. That's my plan. So that way I have the time because
Sounds good to me.
I'll have the time to sync everything and mess around with it. It's coming out. We'll get there. I've been busy at work and all that. So yeah. But
the only thing Greg Biffle was upset about the weather being bad is he had to cancel his flyover. He had some guy like flying over and like a home plane or something like that. If you watch the videos from the old ones, you can see it's like one of those ultra lights, where the little guy he does a flyover. So yeah, he was disappointed the flyover got canceled.
Which it's too much. My mind is blown right now. But I would say, what if you let's step it down a notch and we'll do the fan man. The guy with that that parasail and he just has a big fan on his back. Like that'll be your fly. That would be my. You know what, Scott? We're gonna do that. We've talked about
drones. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think a drone would count.
Scott,
but Josh, that's how laid back it was. Like they were literally like chipping golf balls in the field, and it felt like you were at a barbecue. And basically, we were at Greg Biffle's house at a barbecue racing cars. There's people flying kites and throwing frisbees and chipping golf balls and just hanging out and having a good time.
This is basically what we've been trying to do at my parents' farm for a while.
You could do it at your farm.
Yeah. Well, talk to my mom.
Never gonna happen, Josh.
Exactly.
Never gonna happen.
No. Actually, all the factory stock guys were getting together.
Send your mom on a vacation. You'll do it.
This is what I'm getting at. I think Scott was in on this too. A bunch of the guys from the factory stocks were saying, "All right, we're going to chip in a couple bucks each of us. Have your dad take your mom out to dinner or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll all drive in
and
run a race
in Mexico."
Yeah, no,
someplace far away.
Honestly, get a drink and a half of my mom, and she's like toasted. So, but yeah, we run it in the backfield. The thing is, same thing. I would need to rent some lights like Biffle did and all that. Although, honestly, we have some telephone poles that I wanted to mount and actually run a lighting system.
I tell you what, we ran at night at Biffle's, and then we ran on the day. It was a lot more fun during the day. It really was in the daylight. Yeah, it was just more fun. You could see a lot better, and it was better for the fans and the people hanging out. I definitely like the day racing better than the night.
Well, you got to be part of something historic, though. The first night race of that.
Yeah. He said, because we asked him, Nancy said, "Is this the first time you ran the Triple B at 100 under the lights?" He's like, "Yeah, and the ticket sales are through the roof. Now there's a waiting list, just like what Bristol went to a night race, Like he was just having a good time with it."
That's a good question. How many people were actually there watching?
I'd say probably 100, 150 people hanging around watching, They were all scattered through the woods and stuff, Like I said, I don't know how many people he was letting on the property.
All right.
That all worked, but there was a few people there that were hanging out watching.
I kind of wish he could sell tickets, but you don't want it to get out of hand. Like he
doesn't want to get too big. He doesn't want to get too big. He's got it at a perfect size. It's an invitational only thing. I'm lucky enough to get invited to it.
By the way, let me ask you, how because I don't think we ever talked about it. How did you actually get the invite?
We watched it last year on Periscope and Facebook. We watched it, and Nancy messaged them and told them that we race up here and we race in Doros and factory stocks, and we she rattled off a few names we know down there that he knows, and he just said, well, maybe next year I'll let you know when we have a date, and then Nancy got to know his girlfriend through Facebook and stuff, and met her a couple of times at the race because Nancy goes to a lot of races, Dover and Pocono and Richmond, and she met her a couple of times at the racetrack, and they hit it off and became friends. And sure enough, when the date came out, she messaged Nancy, said, "Yeah, we're gonna do it December 8th. You guys coming down?" So Nancy's literally friends with his girlfriend. That's how we got invited down.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Oh, and actually, we've been neglecting this, not intentionally, but there's a calendar that I'm going to order tonight, and it's important to me as a factory stock driver. It's important to you as a husband, Scott. And would you like to explain?
Yeah. So Nancy entered a contest over the summer. I'm trying to pull it up now.
Was it Car Chicks?
Was it Race Chick or something like that?
I thought it was Car Chicks or Race Chicks.
Put me in for 2 orders.
Of beer?
No. 2
Well,
calendars.
if Sam didn't go ghost on us, he could look this up right now.
Yeah, Sam, you're slacking, buddy, and Eric is.
Hey, at least Eric responds to us on Facebook now. You know, like Sam won up Eric on the disappearing act, man. Sam's like worse than Eric. He got a girlfriend, and we haven't seen him since. He blames it on college.
Well, Scott, I mean, if you had a choice between sitting around talking to a bunch of guys about racing or getting some slide jobs, what would you take?
Oh shit,
Tim, what is that? Is that like a big gulp or something there?
It looks like he's drinking like a out of a vase or something.
No,
it's a pitcher.
I was thinking.
Probably looks big on the computer.
It looks huge.
It looks huge. Yeah. Wow.
Now, wait, I can tell you, it tells you how many milliliters or something it is.
No, I need ounces. I need empirical.
Yeah.
It's from the hospital. Lisa gets it from the hospital.
50 ounces.
64. It's got to be 64 at least.
It's all water off of this one. When I get the new one, when I find a new one, I'll tell you how many.
Okay. Stay tuned, folks. Update coming soon. Anyway, so I'm gonna try to find it. We'll see how well this.
I found it.
Okay.
So
good.
over the summer, Nancy entered a contest for female racers. They want to find the most favorite female racers in the country. The top 12 finishers in this contest would be put onto a calendar for carchicks.com. It's CARCHIX, carchicks.com. And Nancy won. She was in the top 12, and they had like over 200 girls entered in this, and we pushed it pretty much around Wall Stadium and on social media, and she got a lot of votes, a real lot of votes, and she won a place on the calendar, and she's Miss January. She's on January cover, and I tell you, they sent us a couple of calendars. They're pretty professional calendars, and it's got her picture, the big picture on the top, and then where the days are and the numbers and everything for the dates. She got another picture there, and it tells her, she races Wall Stadium Factory Stocks, lists our sponsors, her name, and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. So if you want one, go on carchicks.com and order a calendar. And
I think we're going to do that. I know I voted a few times, and I'm going to see. I got my Tilted Kilt calendar and my Bob Ross calendar here. Yeah. So
I voted like what 3,000 votes for it. For Nancy?
Nancy's hot.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how many votes she got, but it was a lot. It was a real lot. And
how about the other girls in it? What do they drive?
There's a couple dirt car girls, but it's mostly drag racing. A lot of drag racing girls in the calendar, but there's a few girls with dirt cars, like a dirt late model.
I'm not sure I want a calendar with drag girls on it.
Drag race girls, I should say.
Now I gotta bleep that, damn it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Josh.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, the calendar is definitely cool. They actually invited a PRI, which is in Indianapolis, to come and sign calendars, because Car Chicks had a booth out there, and they wanted Nancy to come all the way out there. But it was on the same weekend we were at the Greg Biffle race, so she couldn't go out there. So it's a big thing. It's it's pretty
judging
cool.
by the airport she found, I'm sure she could have.
Yeah, right. But it's pretty cool because like people on Facebook, they're getting the calendars now and they're posting, "Oh, I got my calendar." So people are buying it. I'm like, wow, man, it's a lot of people are buying this calendar. It's pretty cool, So she made it onto this calendar.
You can track, or is it just by word of mouth?
No. I just see people saying, "Hey, I got my calendar." Like sending it. Like people we know but don't know from the racetrack, and they're like, "Hey, I got my calendar." So there is people ordering it. So it's pretty
garage,
cool.
Man.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I'll send you the link. Tim, what were you saying?
It's good publicity for Wall Stadium too,
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
It is. Well, I mean, Wall had. I mean, if you go through how many female races we've had and still have, and that are actively involved, I mean, I think Wall is an excellent place, and I don't want to get all diversity based and all that, but I mean, it is good, and I think we need more female racers out there and getting involved in this. And
but it's also a tip for all racers. There's so many ways you can promote yourself when you race. Just by her entering this contest, she got so much publicity. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just me and her going to this Greg Biffle race. We got a big article written up in the Aero Racing News. There's so many ways you can promote yourself nowadays, and and so many things you can take advantage of to make a name for yourself in this sport.
Yeah,
I mean, something as even simple as doing this podcast helps me. People come up to me and say, "Oh man, I feel like I know you. I watch you on the podcast all the time."
I was doing well. I mean, I made my rounds and got to know everybody, and the videos was my way of getting myself out there.
Definitely.
And that's how people got to know me and feel more comfortable around me being on the track. And the other thing that helped me was getting cancer.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What? It was me. I'm allowed to joke about it.
Yeah.
So, Josh, what is up with your cancer? Why do you still go to the hospital so much?
I have monthly checkups and blood work is the main thing. And then every 3 months, I get a blood smear, which looks for evidence of a chromosomal translocation, they call it. It's basically where two chromosomes get kind of bound together and crossed up and divide, so the cell divides incorrectly. And then every 6 months, I get a bone marrow biopsy, which is where they take literally it's like almost putting a hole punch or a core sample of your bone. It's not that bad. So many people say it's the worst pain I've ever felt. Honestly, I mean, the worst part is the needle that numbs you. It feels like a bee sting or whatever. And then after that, it's a little bit of like, ooh, okay, I feel that, and whatever. It honestly doesn't hurt that bad. For me, anyway. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think I have a particularly high pain tolerance, but I think all the others are.
So you've been checking out fine with all these tests?
Now, the cool thing about the bone marrow biopsy is they actually review it down to the molecular level, and everything's been coming back clear. So everything is very good on my end. Now, because of the chemo pills that I'm still on, my white blood cell count is still on the low side, so I have to be careful. I got my flu shot. I take an antiviral, so I have to be careful, like around sick people and stuff like that. But
so is this something you got to do the rest of your life?
Luckily, the chemo pills are really until next November. And then I should
How much are those?
Well, the one pill, luckily, I only take it about 2 weeks at a time, and that's every 3 months, I think. That generally when I was taking it every day for like when I was in the hospital and for a while after. That was $6,700 for like a 1 month supply.
Oh my God, crazy.
Luckily, insurance pretty much covered that. I've been very, very fortunate with insurance and work and all that. But yeah, no, the things. I think we're approaching the $2 million mark on hospital bills and things like that.
Don't get sick in America.
Oh, another bleep.
Yeah, another bleep.
Sorry.
Anyway, it's been interesting. It's going to take a while. But luckily, after the pills and stuff are done, I'm still going to have checkups. I'm still going to have a couple biopsies and things like that because there is a chance that it could I guess relapse or come back or whatever. Luckily, with my type, it's pretty unlikely to happen. But you want to check just to be sure. So yeah, it's been. I don't know. I would say for the most part I'm out of the woods, but they're still being cautious. And I will say I've certainly been more proactive, about whether I go to a doctor for something or not, because it scares the crap out of you, basically.
Sorry, people, we ain't got much racing to talk about, so we're talking about
me trying to die.
Yeah. All right, so I guess that wraps it up. It's 11 o'clock here now.
I had a couple more questions for you, Scott.
Uh-oh.
Did Greg Biffle know anything about Wall Stadium? Did he?
Yeah, I did tell him I was from Wall Stadium, and because of the Truex connection, he's like, "Oh, that's where Morton's from." I'm like, "Yeah, the Truex is raced there," and then I reminded him. I said, "That's where Everham's actually from too." He's like, "Oh yeah, that's right, it raced from there too." Yeah, so he did know Wall Stadium. Nancy did invite him to race Turkey Derby next year in her car if he wants to do it, and he said we'll give him a call when time gets closer. So that might happen. It might not. But we did offer him a ride at Turkey Derby next year in one of our factory stocks.
So like our talk about NASCAR earlier, he'll be getting about equal stuff. It's about what you do with it, right, Scott?
Yeah, right. And I tell you what, after racing with, obviously the guy can drive. So I love for him to come up and race one of my factory stocks. I think he would do great.
Let's keep in mind a bit of NASCAR news. There was an article we shared it on our page the other day. Greg Biffle will be going to Daytona for the 500, and he's going to be bringing his racing gear.
Yeah, he does. From talking to him, he definitely wants to race again, but he wants the right situation. He did mention to us that he was offered that 47 car, the one that Ryan Preece is going to, the AG Allmendinger car.
The Ryan who?
Yeah, he said it wasn't really the right deal. That's why he didn't take it. But he is hinting around that he's going to be in Daytona racing something,
honestly, I'd be fine if he raced the 24 Hours of Daytona. That would be cool.
He didn't say nothing like that. He said he's really, like I said before, he's really in the off-road. He said he would definitely do the Cup thing if the ride was right and it was a winning team. He said he would even do trucks and Xfinity, but not full time. He said he'd do it. Yeah, like 10 races or something like that. But he would do Cup full time again if the ride was right.
So would I.
Yeah.
I wish more of the not retired drivers, people like Greg Biffle, would race the trucks, make almost like a retirement series.
Oh, like a seniors tour, in golf.
I instantly think of the Legends Over 40 race.
Yeah, well, I also listen to Mike Skinner and Angie Skinner on satellite radio, and when he stopped racing Cup and went back, and him and Hornaday went back and raced the truck series and Jack Sprague and all them, they were trying to make it like a seniors tour, and they went to NASCAR, and they're like, NASCAR, you need to start promoting this as a senior tour, and we can get Mark Martin in here. And they were totally against it. He said they were totally against it. No, this is a stepping stone to move up the ladder. This is for younger guys. You guys are more than welcome racing, but we're not making it into a seniors tour.
So would there be a separate, what about ARCA? If NASCAR acquired ARCA, you could make that almost a seniors and a young guys, old guys versus the whippersnappers. Especially
now, guys are retiring earlier where they still got a lot of racing left in them. I would love to see like a seniors tour, and I thought Mike Skinner's idea was great, but NASCAR said no, this division's not about that.
I kind of see,
which was kind of disappointing. Yeah, which was kind of disappointing.
Well, Casey Kane's out and he's young, and Jamie McMurray isn't that old.
Casey Kane ran the Triple B 100 last year, and he was supposed to come this year, but because of the weather, didn't show up. So he was one of the NASCAR people that were supposed to be there and didn't show up because of the weather.
Scott, was there any moment during that the Triple B races that you were like, "Holy crap, I'm racing against Greg Biffle"?
Nah, not really. But it was fun racing against him because, like I said, he could drive. And there was one time I was right on his. Nancy says I gave him a flat because I was right on his right rear quarter pounder. I was pressing down on him a little bit. She's like, "You gave him that flat." I'm like, "I don't think I did." But no, I raced him like everybody else. It was just fun racing. It was just fun racing with everybody. There was a couple road race guys there. They were pretty serious road racers, so it was the first time they were racing on dirt ovals. I felt that. I really didn't think about it. I just thought it was cool to race. I thought it was more cool to race on a farm, like in a field, than it was racing against Greg Biffle. I just loved it. It was just so much fun.
That's pretty.
I just thought it was cool that it was a bunch of guys getting together to race in a field. That's basically what it was. Like we all chipped in to get the track done and bring cars and set up, try to make it feel like you're at a racetrack, but have fun with it. But no, it was cool racing with Greg. It was cool just pulling up to his house and seeing him, and him just walking by and say, "Hey, what's up?" It was cool,
I love that. I'm truly grinning and enjoying the fact that he was just like, "Yeah, cool, let's just go have fun." And I'm so jealous of you. And I miss the enduros, man. I do. I really do. I know you beat the whole field by 2 laps and everything all the time, but I had a lot of fun racing with you in the enduros.
And that's the thing too. Like, I almost, because I like the enduros so much. Like, when I first went down there, I was a little disappointed that it was 20 lap segments. I was kind of hoping let's do 100 laps.
Yeah.
But it made it more fun because it was segments. Because like you said, in between the segments, people were getting out and drinking beer and just laughing and having fun and switching. People were like, "All right, now it's your turn to drive. I'll sit in the passenger side." It just made it fun. And if you did get a flat, now it's like reset and you change your tire and you go back out. The segments
or if you
ended up
blow
really
a
cool.
brake line,
Blow brake. Greg Biffle, his car broke down twice. Here's another thing. A cool Greg Biffle story. He fixed everything on the car himself. The one race, his shifter linkage fell off. He jacked the car up, slid under there, hooked the shifter linkage back up. And then the second one, his starter the car wouldn't start. So we had to wait like 15 minutes for him. He ran up to the house. He had more cars up there. He didn't bring all his cars out. He had a couple cars still up there. He pulled a starter off another car up by the house, up by the garage.
He didn't even just bring the car. He actually he took the starter off and used the same car.
He took the starter off one of the cars up at the top of the hill and bought the starter back and put it on his car. He switched the starter. Yeah. And where then again, it gave me time to fix a few things on my car. So, and if anybody had a problem, we kind of waited for him. Like, well, that guy's still fixing his car. Have another beer. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's wait, or let's grade the track, or let's chip golf balls for a little bit. Like, we waited until everybody was ready to go again for the next segment. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a rush.
I'll drive down with you.
Yeah. You want to go down too?
Yeah.
But no, he was totally cool, man. He was definitely cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Go ahead, Sam.
Him fixing that car just tells you there's something in that car. He has to race that car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I said to Nancy too. I said he's got like four or five cars up there, and he could just drove another car down here, but he's changing the starter on that car.
That's the one with the locked rear.
What are like the payouts on
the super chips in
the
it,
prizes and stuff like that?
They were only trophies for this.
Trophy only?
Yeah, it was a charity race basically.
Yeah.
Was there an entry fee?
Yeah, there was, but I don't think I ever paid it.
You driving down and advertising it with
unless Nancy might want to ever paid it, but no one ever came to me and asked for anything.
Okay.
And I was willing to give, I definitely would chip in, But I'm telling you, from the minute we got there to the minute we left, it was kind of hectic, because we were getting the cars ready. And everybody was chipping in to help get the track ready. Like at the end of the day, I was wore out, because we were hustling, I was down there by myself. I'm changing the tires by myself. I'm getting the fuel in the car, getting the car ready, getting dressed, unloading the stuff, loading the stuff back up, helping Greg pack the track down, make sure our phones are charged so we can videotape it. And Facebook, people were messaging me. I'm trying to answer everybody's messages, and it was crazy, But it was such a good time, man. It was a blast, man.
I'm so jealous. Darn.
How did you get that article in the paper? They call you? Or?
I saw Steve Barrick at the banquet, and he asked me if I was going to Bronson Speedway again this year, which is still up in the air about that. He's like, I like that you're well in the race anywhere. I'm like, well, you're going to like this story. I'm going to tell him. So I told him the story about us going to the Triple B 100. He's like, call me when you get back or whatever. But, I figured he was following on Facebook like everybody else. So I never called him. And I was out telling. He called me from the racing paper on Monday afternoon and did a quick interview with me. And then he put the article in the paper.
That's awesome.
Speaking about Bronson, they're doing a lot of work up there.
At the racetrack?
No, that's Hudson.
Yeah, no, Hudson's doing a lot. No, Bronson's the track we go to in Florida.
Oh yeah. That's still a couple months away. I have a quick story if we're done with the Biffle story.
I want to say real quick on the lighting thing. I just found the post I was talking about earlier. Somebody posted to NJ Racing. It said, "Take note, NJ Tracks, BAPS Motor Speedway. They went from their whatever lighting to the Musco, and they did post a picture side by side comparison. I'll share it on the page real quick of the difference and the stands are certainly more lit up. They also put a new catch fence in as well, which looks very nice. And yeah, it's impressive. Although it looks like they may have just done it along the front stretch because, or some of it's turned off because turn 3 certainly looks a bit dark. But yeah, I'm going to share that on the page now. Anyway, Tim, you go ahead.
As Scott was talking about driving by North Wilkesboro and reminded me we were going to Bristol for the modified tour race, and we had a camper. It was only me, Lisa, and Tizzy at the time, and we're going by the highway. I don't know what highway is. Scott probably knows, and you can see the track from the highway. But I'm like, oh, we got to stop. We got to stop at North Wilkesboro. So we pull up, and of course, there's nobody around. And one thing I like to do is I like to go to old racetracks, and you can always find a way in. There's always a hole in the fence or something. So me and Tizzy are walking through the weeds, and I'm up on top of the camper trying to look in. And I see like a hole in the fence. I'm like, come on, Tizzy, we're gonna go in. And all of a sudden, I hear like an old beat up gator, like the exhaust pulling. I'm like, oh, we got caught. And the guy's like, what are you doing? I'm like, we're going from New Jersey. We're going to Bristol for the modified tour race. I just wanted to see this place. He's like, well, come on around back and I'll open up the gate. So we go around back. He shows us the whole place. And then the guy goes, take your camper around the racetrack. I'm like, we had just bought this camper. And I never drove anything big like that in my life. I'm like, okay. So we're doing like 10, 15 miles. The guy's on the pit wall going, go faster, go faster. So we did about 10 laps. And Tizzy's in there going, "Go, Daddy, go!"
You know what? And that's the difference between New Jersey and North Carolina. Here is the guys inviting you in to go on the track and go around the track. Up here, they would arrest you for going around the racetrack.
Yeah.
Actually, a friend of mine, actually a former factory stock driver, Tiffany Olenek, she and her family had been down in by Bristol, and they pulled into the parking lot and were just like, oh yeah, that's the track, you can see the grandstands or whatever, and one of the owners, managers, promoters, whatever it was, saw them out in the parking lot and just like, hey, can I help you guys or whatever, and they thought they were going to be like chased out, and like, no, we just wanted to see the track or whatever, and we're racing fans or whatever. He's like, oh well, come on, follow me, and he opened up the gates and actually let them, same thing, drive around the track. Right. And just here, have fun. Just don't go crazy. Don't do anything stupid. But drive around the track, see what it's like.
Didn't you also do that at Darlington? Didn't you pull up to Darlington? Darlington Speedway?
No, they let you on the track. We didn't drive on the track.
Yeah.
Yeah, they let you go out there and walk around and stuff. Yeah. And we went to Smyrna one time, and it was closed. We went to Lisa's mom's house, and the girls wanted to go to the track, and there was some guy there, whatever he was doing. And I told him I wanted to show my daughters the track. He's like, yeah, go out there and drive around on it. And I took pictures of the Suburban out there.
Well, that's like Scott driving. Scott, what were you driving again up at Watkins Glen?
The Toyota 4Runner, like a RAV4 or something like that. One of Kevin Mayers' rental cars, man. We beat the piss out of that thing.
I'll tell you one thing, not me driving, but I was looking at, after going to the Pocono race this year for IndyCar, they had the ride-alongs, and I was like, you know what? Damn it, that looks cool. I got to be the driver for the ride-alongs for the Rusty Wallace experience when they did it at Wall. And which was kind of cool for me because, the advertisement says, you'll be given a ride by a professional driver. I'm like, professional? Sure, why not? Let's go with this. And I had a blast doing it. I really did. But they'll take you out in, like a 2-seater Indy car, and I want to do it. I want to go next August or whatever, and I want to.
They do that before the race or after the race or
before the race?
Before the race?
Yeah.
I know Dover. I've had friends that stay at Dover on Monday, and the Richard Petty driving experience is at Dover on Monday, and you can get ride-alongs at Dover on Monday.
Well, see, if that's the case, IndyCar, I think it's a little bit different. I mean, I would still, if they offered a drive it yourself, I would do it. I think the Petty thing, you can do a ride-along or drive it.
A lot of people do the ride. I think after the race, because so many people want to do it, they give a lot of ride-alongs.
Yeah.
Over on the Monday after the race. Did you look into the cost of what it was like to ride in the IndyCar?
I didn't find it. The thing is, I will say,
I don't even know if you think that was even open to the public, or you think that's just for like sponsors and higher ups and stuff like that.
I think it was open to the public, but I think there was probably a very limited sign-in sheet for it.
Yeah.
And
So I think Mario Andretti even drives that car every once in a while to ride along cars.
I honestly don't know. The only they had the autograph signing where I did actually, oddly, it was weird. Because you saw Will Power and Joseph Newgarden and Robert Wickens. I actually was like looking at him from like 10 or 15 feet away, before he was nearly killed, and not even an hour later, but. Looking, I almost got ran over by Dario Franchitti while I was walking around in the pit area. He was on a scooter, so I didn't see any Andretti's, but maybe, I don't know. I do want to look into it further and see if I can get on the list for that, because I don't care. Other people be damned. I want to hop in that thing, and even if I'm a passenger. I'd love to bring my helmet and stuff and just take the ride.
All right, guys. Well, it's 20 after 11, and I'm going to get going here.
All right, so real quick.
So when is our plan, Joshua? Is this the last show until after Christmas?
I'm thinking we're going to do one next week.
Okay.
Because I believe Sam's going to be coming home soon, so maybe he'll actually show up. Who knows?
Or maybe he'll actually message us back.
Yeah.
But I just want to go off by saying, check out carchicks.com. Order a calendar with Nancy in it. It's carchix.com, carchicks.com, and check out our calendar and order one up.
Another quick thing I wanted to mention was Jeff Gravatt. Keep him in your thoughts, prayers. However, he's still in the hospital. I believe he was supposed to come off the ventilator. Was it yesterday?
Yes.
And so we're we don't have any real updates right now or anything like that, but wishing him the best in recovery, and just hoping it all goes well. Just give the family their privacy. They will update. They've been providing updates as it goes along. So just thinking about you, Jeff. Just stay strong, buddy. And can't wait to hear your voice again. And with that, switching over, what have we learned today, Tim?
I learned that like Greg Biffle is just like a normal guy. Just because people become successful and they got money, they don't have to be arrogant. He seems like he's a down to earth guy.
Just with a big house.
Well, that comes along with it, yeah. And I learned that my Kyle Busch hating sister-in-law is in a program or a calendar, but that must have got lost in the mail. Where the same mailman that never delivered Scott's check for the go-karts must have the calendars, so we haven't gotten those either.
I learned today that Tim's $20 setup works just as good as my $300 setup here for doing the podcast.
Almost. It sounds a little bit different, but
yeah. Mine's a touch better. I learned that people freak out in North Carolina when there's some snow coming their way. I also learned that Greg Biffle's a real cool guy and real laid back and real welcoming, and he really was a lot of fun to hang out with all weekend. I also learned that he's definitely winning in the fun department. He's definitely having a good time. He also told us he's into boating too. He's real big into boats. He showed me some pictures of his boats too.
Well, yeah, we knew that from the picture. I'm not going to go there. There was a picture posted on social media, and he was having a really, really good time.
It was they were the same people that were at his house that were on that boat.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he's got a real cool group of friends. I also learned that Bruce is a go-kart champion there in South Jersey, and if there's any 12-year-old kids with some ride tickets that want to try to see them, tell them to bring it on.
No chance.
Yeah, I believe I know. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm trying to upgrade into the real racing realm.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Bruce, did you learn anything today?
Yeah, this is a first experience. Glad to meet you guys, and I'll be on the next next podcast or
We'll see.
Well, if I'm invited back, yeah.
It's not that you're uninvited. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Josh.
All right. So with that, today I learned that Nancy pays the bills. I learned that
the cable bill. Cable bill.
I learned
he
this.
pays utilities. I pay everything else.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I learned that Scott grabbed Biffle's buns. I learned that Biffle's what?
40 of them.
Yeah, 40 of them.
Did he pay you back for them?
No, they were. We went to the Ollie's down there, and I said, Nancy, how much were the rolls? They were 85 cents a pack, and she got. There was 8 in a pack, so she got 5 packs. So it was literally like $4.
Aldi is a wonderful place.
Yes.
I learned that Biffle's truck had lube and tranny fluid. I learned that Scott ran his car so hard that the tank got wet. And I learned that Biffle's Ranch is safer than Hudson Speedway.
Yeah, basically.
We didn't ask the go-kart champion what his favorite food is.
Yeah, what's her favorite racetrack food, Bruce?
What?
Your favorite food from a racetrack? Any racetrack you've been to?
Oh man, it's got to be the dogs, man. The hot dogs.
We have our next Eric Brennan.
Or the bologna. I didn't get the bologna sandwiches, the liver sandwiches.
The bologna burgers.
But they sound good.
It's liver, not liver worst. It's liver mush.
Oh yeah.
Liver mush.
Yeah.
But that sounds like a good, good sandwich.
If you say so.
As long as you got mustard, hot mustard. That's
okay.
Hot mustard.
I'm not gonna. I like
spicy
mustard.
That actually makes sense because you put spicy mustard on a liver.
Yeah.
Liver mush sandwich. So I don't see why you wouldn't put it on a liver mush sandwich.
Same thing. Yeah.
I like the way you think.
Same stuff.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up for this week. Be sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and that thumbs up deal or whatever. Comment if you want to get involved, if you want to be interviewed, if you want to be on, even the Sunday series guys. I know we don't talk about y'all that much, and I apologize for that. But if you guys want to come on, be interviewed, anything like that, please just shoot us a message. You're welcome to come on. We'll set it up. I mean, Eric Brennan's schedule sucks, so it's up in the air a little bit, but we'll make it work. And yeah, just. We'll be back next week, and Scott will be in charge.
Yep.
So, Scott, you want to close this out?
All right, that's it. We'd say go to Wall, but Wall's closed up so I guess we'll see you.
Go to Trenton.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Trenton. Yeah, Trenton dirt races. Yeah, very good.
We'll
Trenton,
be talking about that next week.
Races this weekend.
Because they got that Flemington clay, or no, I'm sorry, the East Windsor clay.
Yeah, they got East Windsor clay. Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to be reviewing all that when it comes after they get through that. And, so good luck to all those guys. Please be safe out there. I'm hoping to get out there one day, maybe Friday, and we'll see what happens. So go to Trenton, and then when it comes time, go to Wall.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.